75 years old, and I still wake up with a little guy saluting me.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy.
Come on, let's wake up.
Gotta wake up.
Are you sure you want to wake up to this?
Come on now, wake up.
I can't wait to wake up.
Wake up, idiot.
Well, as we wake up on this Friday morning, we do so back in studio after a couple of days in Westfield at Grand Park. I must admit, Andy Sweeney, welcome to Sports Science 2024. Welcome to certainly Shane Steichen being a huge advocate for rest. I cannot believe the Colts just went one practice day and now they have an off day.
They went 1 hour.
It's
not like they did
an
a
hour.
4-hour practice where, guys are passing out because of the sun out in Westfield. Yeah, they went 1 hour, now they get a day off. How about that?
In no way, shape, or form am I saying get off my lawn and, back when I started covering the NFL. I mean,
Put your hand in the dirt, right?
Yeah, look at me. A guy got hair surgery a couple months ago. It just is amazing to me in a way that, wow, this is the schedule. And, to be fair to the Colts, a lot of teams do operate in this manner. I would say the Colts probably operate much more in we are going to adhere to a lot of sleep and a lot of rest. But it is kind of crazy. They went one day, and now they're off, but they will get back to practice tomorrow and Sunday.
I always think, hey, we want to get a lot of sleep. We want to get a lot of rest. It's like being at summer camp. Are the guys getting a lot of sleep? Are they getting a lot of rest? Or we playing Madden until 4 a.m.? And, of course, I'm kidding, but,
Well, I think our guest joining us at 8 a.m. is probably one that is playing a little Madden.
Yeah, A.D. Mitchell had a conversation with him. We'll talk with him coming up at 8 o'clock. It was good. Me and Mark Dykton met in the elevator today, so good to see his smiling face this morning. Good to be back in studio. I like your Cincinnati red shirt. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. Is that
really?
Is that a new one or what?
This is an Edinburgh Outlet Mall purchase.
Well, you damn
I
right
would
it
say,
is.
Boy, maybe 15 years ago. The Nike outlet
Perfect.
down there, right?
I know the Nike outlet, yeah. It's a thin line between deals and not really many deals.
I know. I
but,
feel like I go to that outlet mall once every 3 years, and I'm like,
why is this $62?
Was this worth the trip?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, yeah, Westfield was good, man. It's, of course, a much easier commute for us, not having to fight 465 at 6 a.m., but we'll be out there. I'm looking at the schedule tentatively. Next week? We'll be out there on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe, for Colts practice.
Yep. So, again, tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon, they have 3 weekend practices in their stay at Grand Park. You'll get 2 of them coming up here this weekend. And as Andy said, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. For us, certainly we'll get to a lot of takeaways from day one. I did think there were a couple of things to note from yesterday, even though it was, as you would expect, a rather light first day of work, and I'm really looking forward to all of you listening to A.D. Mitchell with us at 8 o'clock. He's a talker. He's got the southern drawl. I think he's very candid. I really enjoyed our conversation with him on a variety of topics. His impression of Kirby Smart.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Had me laughing. His, I think, pretty genuine appreciation for Michael Pittman Jr. I thought was cool to hear as well. So a lot of topics covered with A.D. Mitchell. Again, that'll be at 9. Lynn Dunn will join us at 9:30. Obviously, the Fever on an Olympic break, but you never turn down the opportunity to chat with the one and only Lynn Dunn. And then kind of a cool mashup that Mark made that we'll play for you coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Today, and if I have my time zones right, I think here just in a few hours, right? The opening ceremonies will begin.
1:30, yeah.
1:30 Eastern?
Yeah, 1:30 Eastern time. They will start. I'm sure NBC replays them tonight. It's a prime time event. They said they're going to take 3 hours? It's a little bit much, guys.
They're going down the river,
down
there or over there, I should say, in Paris. So it's a very unique opening ceremonies. And when we had Bob Costas on a couple of weeks ago now, or maybe it was last week, I don't know. It all kind of runs together at this point. He told, I thought, just such an unbelievable story about his favorite Olympic memory. And again, this is a guy that hosted Olympic Games from 1988 to 2016. And, when I asked the question to him, Andy, I didn't expect him to say the answer that he did. And that's my hand is raised. I should have been a little bit more maybe appreciative of how Bob Costas is wired. And, it's not, Usain Bolt here, or Michael Phelps here, or Michael Johnson here. Or Kerry Strug. I certainly think about that in the 96 Olympics. It was Muhammad Ali in those Atlanta games, lighting the cauldron there, and that scene. So we'll play a little snippet of that coming up in the 9 o'clock hour again. Opening ceremony today here in Paris. I believe we'll get swimming started in earnest today, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite viewing. Gymnastics quickly to follow. And then on the basketball front, Team USA will play Sunday. That's Serbia. Team Canada with Andrew Nemhard, they're going to be a day before the U.S. So if you look at the U.S. schedule, they're going to be following Canada by a day with how the group schedule plays out. So Sunday with Serbia, Team Canada will actually take on Giannis. So Andrew Nemhard and the Antetokounmpo, I don't think
Well, the
it's
brothers,
plural.
is his brother on the team too? He's got to be, right?
Shockingly, I think the one, I don't know how many brothers there are. I think one of them tore his ACL.
No.
I didn't know if he was playing basketball enough to be suffering such an injury.
Well,
but
settle down. You can tear an ACL doing other things now, you know.
Nonetheless, Andrew,
slipping on something around the house, you know, settle down.
Andrew Nemhard Saturday, Tyrese Halliburton Sunday. And to your point, it is amazing to me how many kid toy injuries I suffer on a daily basis.
Okay, so I remember a couple months ago you talking about you're having a rough morning. You stepped on, I mean, it was a toy. I want to say it was something like a Lego. I don't know if your kids are into
last
Legos.
Night
but...
I stepped on like Rosie's Pretty Princess plastic earring. I mean,
oh, that sounds
you would have
terrible.
thought I was, what's his name in Home Alone, stepping on the ornament.
Oh, I stepped on a dinosaur this morning.
Joe Pesci? You look like Pesci?
Well, I felt like it was the other one. Well, I
The
guess it
tall
was
guy? Yeah,
Pesci.
who was the tall guy?
Daniel Stern.
Oh, there you go.
Who was that?
Daniel Stern.
Yeah.
He passed away not too long ago,
No,
didn't
he's
he?
nice.
Is he
He's very much alive.
Is he still alive? Did I kill him on accident?
Yeah, you
okay.
did.
Well, I didn't mean to.
Marv, and what was the other one?
Marvin Harry.
Marvin Harry. Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
that show is on like rotation.
I
in our
love the
house.
tarantula.
My wife could not hate a movie more than Home Alone,
What?
the
Really?
original. And I'm like,
Nikki, you're
I'm
killing
like,
me.
No, I'm like, you're a terrorist. I mean, what are you doing? How do you not like Home Alone? And of course, I love it. You know, it's
Blasphemy.
it's something I grew up on. Little Gas Mason's gonna grow up.
I was gonna say, make sure
watching
Little
Home
Gas
Alone.
does not side with Mom on that one.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing?
Our kids love that movie.
By the way, shout out to the Pacers who put out the schedule for Team USA and Team Canada. So I just went right there, boom, saved it to my phone, good to go.
Very
so thank
smart.
you to the Indiana Pacers. So A.D. Mitchell, Lynn Dunn today. We'll have a freebie Friday on the pop quiz. I know you wrote about it on 1075thefan.com. We were out there, obviously, for the long practice yesterday for the Colts in the entire hour. So obviously directing people to not only your article, but just quick takeaways. I have a few. I'm sure you have a few as well. What stood out to you? Day one, everybody safe and secure, nobody injured. And, to me, did someone get injured that I don't know about?
No, but I
Okay.
guess that's probably the thing you should lead off with daily when it comes to training camp. But once you put that to the side, and we'll get to Shane Steichen's comments here in just a second, because usually I don't walk away from a Shane Steichen press conference and think to myself, oh boy, that's a clip we should play on the show tomorrow.
I know. We kind of looked at each other, didn't we?
Yeah, you
after
and
he
I
said it?
had a Lady and Tramp connection there, minus the spaghetti, thankfully, for everyone's sake. But we certainly had that listening to Shane Steichen yesterday. Obviously all eyes are on Anthony Richardson. And, you frankly watch and dissect almost every move, which is so, at times I'm like, all right, what are grand takeaways and what can I just sweep under the rug? And if you watch his day yesterday, that dude looked pretty eager early on. That dude looked pretty amped up. If you watch him in individual drills, he was sailing a few balls back into the Wood family's yard, that butts up to that north side of the field. And then once he gets in 11 on 11, it was crisp. It was efficient. It was a red zone drill that extremely accurate, 4 for 4 in that opening period. And then, after that, he really didn't throw it the rest of the practice. He threw it one time in the next 10 plays. It was a lot of Jonathan Taylor and a lot of Anthony Richardson, frankly, running as well. So all red zone yesterday. That was a focus for the Colts. They didn't want, a whole lot of full length of the field activities on the first day back. So they wanted to be kind of in a confined area. But I thought Shane Steichen accurately described it post-practice as crisp. I thought that was the word to use. Again, a little amped up early for AR, but then once they got in the team drills, which you'd rather him be accurate in the team drills than the individual drills, he was very accurate.
Well, he was amped up because, and the Colts put this out on like Instagram and everything else, you saw AR, the first song they played in training camp was Anthony Richardson's song. So, of course, he was amped up. They played his rap song. Was the very first thing they played.
Which has become a bit of a tradition.
Fantastic. No, listen, I thought Anthony Richardson looked like, move aside what he looked like, it was just good to see him out there, right? I thought Joe Flacco had some moments. And
Richardson took every starting rep. I guess I probably should have said that as well.
And I think the other thing you had Pierce and A.D. Mitchell. Again, we'll talk with A.D. Mitchell coming up at 8 o'clock. You had them splitting those first-team reps. I thought, if I'm not mistaken, Pierce got the first shot out there at the ones, but you very much know that that's going to be a battle. They rotated corners at times. I know you wrote about that, and we can talk about that. That always is going to be interesting. If there's a guy who has a couple bad practices in a row, that's something we're going to talk about. And then, Latu played with the twos. I think the majority of the time yesterday, and poor Jake Witt having to guard him as Latu blew up a play. So, it's very difficult, even on the 11-on-11s, when you're not in pads, you're not in a game situation. Latu's up against a backup, and he won that. So, I thought, and then, we're going to get to it at 7:35 today. I thought the rhetoric from Richardson and Steichen, KB, of, hey, we know we have a good running back. We know we have a quarterback that can run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We know Steichen did that, obviously, a lot in Philadelphia. So, I know Colts fans that have the hat that says run the damn ball on it, you might as well get one of those out if everyone stays healthy this year, because they're going to do that, and they're going to do a lot of it. So, I thought crisp is the word. I thought, mostly a pretty good first day for the Colts. No fights, nothing ridiculous. I think Steichen feels like they got a lot done yesterday.
Again, we're going to focus on those Shane Steichen comments here in just a second, because it was pretty un-Shane Steichen-like, if I must admit, in a press conference setting, particularly for day one. And I'll certainly expand on that coming up in a bit. But let's go back to Latu. Andy Sweeney, when he came out there, and again, it's Kwity Paye and Samson Ebukam as the starters. Actually, for the first session, they had Latu all the way on the third team. They had Dayo Odengbo, Tyquan Lewis with the second team. But eventually, over the course of practice, he gets into those second-team reps. And as you mentioned, Jake Witt is the left tackle. We're talking about a seventh-round pick from last year who missed all of last season with a hip injury. Yes, you have to point
Jake
that
Witt,
out.
yeah.
And it is a red zone rep. So, think about the red zone. It's difficult to dial up a pass rush. I mean, the ball comes out pretty quickly in the red zone. Joe Flacco is a veteran. He knows that full well. To say that Latu roasted Jake Witt would be a discredit to the word roasted. I mean, it was, I was.
If Flacco ended up on the ground on this one, by the
there
way,
are not many things
over.
that kind of make the jaw drop for me when, when I'm watching it, but it did on that play. Like, he's already there? And again, it's a red jersey for Flacco. Latu knows this. He can't touch him. But, Flacco's expecting at least to be able to do a three-step drop or whatever he was planning on there. And to your point, as Latu is sitting there in the lap of Flacco, Flacco's got to adjust his footwork. And next thing you know, I don't know if he actually ran into an offensive lineman or if he just fell down, but it looked very Matt Ryan kind of crumbling into the fetal position for a sack. And again, you don't see that very often in a training camp practice, let alone in a red zone rep. So after that play, I just kind of shook my head. It reminded me of rookie minicamp when Latu did the same thing to try out dudes. And I'm like, can we just get to full pads, and can we just get him opposite Bernard Ryman?
I know. That's what we want to see at this point.
I mean, like,
the lesser guys, he's going to be able to beat them. It is what it is.
He is beating his cupcakes, and now it is like, can we just get the competition in the full pads to ramp up? So, again, it's day one. What are your takeaways? Not a ton of reps, but you could not walk away from that play and think to yourself, damn, there is something there with that kid. So, Latu definitely made an impression yesterday.
Anything at cornerback that you saw yesterday that you found interesting? Again, it's two guys. It's three guys for basically two spots, and of course that can always change.
The young guy, well, I should say the really young guys were the two out there first, Juju Brents and Jalen Jones. Again, Juju coming back from that ankle injury or ankle procedure, I should say, back in June. But, I continue to notice Dallas Flowers a little bit. So I do think that's a real competition. And I'll just note one thing on tight end, Andy. I mean, I've tried to warn people all throughout. It's going to be a rotation. And I watched the first three plays yesterday, and I want to just mark this. So, again, you take inventory of who the starters are, and then we typically don't, jot down, okay, who went in the second play, who went in the third play. Like you just mentioned, Alec Pierce was technically the starter, but A.D. Mitchell certainly got first-team reps. At tight end yesterday, Kylan Granson was the only tight end to start the practice. He was on the first. He was out there for the first play. They went three wides. Second play. Drew Ogletree came onto the field with Kylan Granson. Third play, Kylan Granson goes off the field, and it's Drew Ogletree, and it's Mo Alley Cox. So 3 plays, 3 different tight ends, 3 different combinations.
Right.
And that doesn't even include Jelani Woods,
Who
the
dropped
one
the
that,
touchdown, yeah.
that probably most people are intrigued by.
the
And
guy,
yes,
the guy we all want to see.
Joe
Yeah.
Flacco delivers a perfect ball to him in a red zone rep, and Jelani Woods drops a touchdown. So, yes, tight ends interchanging galore. It's going to be a busy, busy camp for Tom Manning, their position coach, pulling guys in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I know Steichen wouldn't like this. He's like, "What the hell do you guys know about football?" I just wonder, is anyone comfortable? I guess you're not supposed to be comfortable, but does anyone ever get to settle in and kind of prove themselves if they're going to be taken off the field after a play? That's why,
Yeah,
you know,
but counter
going
would be, has
forward,
anybody
that's
earned the
interesting.
right
Well, no,
to
they
be
haven't.
that?
I mean, isn't that the conversation? They don't know what they're going to do at that position, or maybe they do. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a rotating one. I still go back to, I guess I just can't believe you're going to take 5 tight ends. But
Five's a lot.
last year they did. They were going to. Last year, obviously, Jelani Woods had the issue. So, yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, there has to be an odd man out, right? 5 tight ends on game day seems substantial.
Well,
so I
if
just can't believe it.
Based off of where guys were drafted or even playing time, Andy, you would say, and I guess clearly the Colts didn't have an issue with it, but obviously he had an off-the-field incident last year. Drew Ogletree would at least be a name that if you were trying to kind of, drum up some sort of case for him not to make it, he'd be that. And again, look at the first, 3 plays yesterday. Ogletree's out there for 2 of the 3. And part of me thinks he's kind of the, he's got the great body type and, could he be a blocker? Could he be a little bit of that mix that they're searching for there? So, again, a lot of interchanging at tight end and a lot of stuff. Again, as Andy said, 1075thefan.com. We'll have notebook recaps up there all throughout training camp. Shout out to Pacers TV voice Chris Denary with the text here early on this Friday morning. We have mentioned different objects, kid-related, that could cause an injury. Chris Denary's gone dog bones on us.
We need to get
dog bones sounds like a high ankle sprain.
That sounds terrible.
That sounds like it could be in
sounds
a
absolutely
boot.
terrible. Did Denary ever finish up his backyard and everything? I guess I need to text him back. But is he done? I mean, during the season, I know he still had. Didn't he have some rock he had to lay out in the back or something like that? He still had a couple things to do.
Look like Monroe County limestone to me.
He looks like he's good to go.
You're in this group text. Go ahead and fire back at him.
Okay.
And knowing him, he will certainly send some pictures your way. Beautiful from Chris Denary in the backyard.
Well, me and Denary,
actor Daniel Stern very much alive at the age of 66 years old.
Well, why did I kill off Marv? Why did I kill off Marv from Home Alone? I still don't know why I did that.
I don't know.
I always thought Marv was a good stretch.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of who
size.
you might be thinking of. The father in Home Alone passed away a few years ago. Maybe that's who you were thinking of.
Yeah, possibly.
And how about the uncle calling Kevin? Didn't he? What did he call Kevin? He was so
Look
stern
what you
with
did,
Kevin.
you little jerk.
That was it.
Every time that scene comes up, my mom's always like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he would say that to his nephew."
Oh my!
Like, it's a movie, Mom. Relax.
Well, in the second one, when they, remember some places have edited Trump out of the second one, but remember Macaulay Culkin, Kevin,
edited
if you
Trump
will.
out of the movie?
Oh yeah, they did a couple years ago. Remember he had the walkie-talkie. Remember you could
I
play
had that
Sure.
toy.
Oh
yeah.
I think my brother. I think I was a little too. I think my brother had. He's 4 years behind me, so I think he had it. Quickly,
Buzz's girlfriend. Oh, this looks beautiful.
Oh,
Chris Denary just fired
sent
the
it.
picture.
My
Yeah.
God, that's a great
Yeah.
backyard.
He's gonna be watching Team Canada, Team USA out there.
Now, does Denary have a garage or does he have like a shed, like a she shed? I mean, does he go out there? Does his wife go out there?
Yeah,
I don't know.
grew
I'm
up-
asking.
He's gonna fire off just a whole house tour.
Grew up with
at this
Chris's
rate.
oldest,
Wow.
Evan, so I'm familiar with the older
beautiful.
house, but
Not the newer house.
No,
That's
I can't say that.
fantastic. Real quickly before we go to break here, Team USA gold on the men's side. Your confidence level is where? Like 1 to 10. Are you still like? Are you a 9 or a 10? Or are the last couple games not? I mean, Serbia's going to be difficult.
They will win gold, but I don't think we just sit here and be like, it's going to be an undefeated 6-game run.
So you think they lose a game somewhere? Probably.
Kind of the wild thing is if you look at their group, if they are going to lose a game,
It might be
think it'd be
Sunday.
Serbia
Yeah.
coming up on Sunday, which that's who they smoked in the exhibition round, and South Sudan, who they also play in the group. Yeah, I think they get it done. I also have to remind myself, last Olympic cycle, they lost 3 games.
I know.
They lost a game in the group stage.
I know.
They lost 2 exhibition games, and then they lost in the group stage.
they lost to
and
France.
Came back and beat France in the gold medal and still won gold. So, and yes, is this Team USA better? than the previous one? Yes, but
Should
I
be.
also think the world continues to get better. And for what it's worth, Kevin Durant did scrimmage with Team USA yesterday, so we'll see if he can crack the rotation at all minutes-wise coming up on Sunday.
All right, we'll take a break. Coming up on the other side, what was Shane Steichen's message to his team before practice number 1, plus an update on Anthony Richardson's shoulder. That and your morning scores, morning check down. It's coming up. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Wake Up Call 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Down. Brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
He's a talker, and he's a guy that a lot of people are interested in here in 2024. A.D. Mitchell, he's going to join us coming up at 8 o'clock, and here in a few we'll get to, I thought, an interesting analogy from Shane Steichen yesterday in regards to will he limit the running ability of Anthony Richardson in any way, shape, or form? Very defiant, I would say, in Shane Steichen's way of talking. We'll play that audio coming up here in a few.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Usually coaches give nothing, including Shane Steichen, but he did give us a piece yesterday for sure. Let's start with Steichen and some Anthony Richardson sound. KB, let's talk about the practice schedule. We've talked about this. They went an hour yesterday and then a day off immediately today, Saturday and Sunday. In all, this entire training camp, only 4 times they're actually going back-to-back days, 0 times that they're going 3 days in a row. I know Steichen was asked about that yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
Some teams stay out there for the maximum time, you know what I mean? And that's their philosophy. My philosophy is, we don't have the long gated practices. We will in time as training camp goes on, but we want to practice with tempo and we want to practice fast, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you do practice long, guys get tired, but shoot, that kind of shows some adversity. They got to fight through those things, which is good, but also we want to maximize our reps and be at our peak point when we're practicing.
Yeah, we talked about, I think the word crisp, is basically one of the words that Steichen used yesterday. All right, quickly, Anthony Richardson back from that shoulder injury. We know all about that. He was asked about, his mindset returning from such a big injury last season. Here's Anthony Richardson.
Man, all glory be to God, man. Just having the opportunity to come out here again, it's a blessing. Like you said, I've been through a lot, but I never backed down from it. I just kept running, kept my feet going. I trusted everybody around me, trusted my teammates, trusted my coaches, trusted the training staff, and just kept it pushing. And now, we out here day one of training camp, and it's a blessing.
We'll continue to share thoughts on day one of Colts training camp throughout the show. Again, notebook up on 1075thefan.com. What sums up the White Sox season yesterday is watching Dylan Cease throw a no-hitter. 114 pitches.
Good for him.
Certainly one of the best in all of baseball. I forgot that he had that no-no broken up with 2 outs a couple years ago.
I know.
Padres over the Nationals. And, I felt this way about Paul Skeens back whatever that was, a month ago when they pulled him there in the 7th or 8th. And I get Cease has been in the league for a handful of years, but, I do appreciate the Padres leaving him in there. 114 is a big, big number in today's Major League Baseball, so outstanding from him. Again, he's been incredible here as of late, and a no-no from Dylan Cease yesterday.
Are you in the camp that the no-no means something, or is Kevin Bowen poo-pooing the no-no away?
In that camp because, again, teams don't let their pitchers get there.
Yeah,
I mean, I've said this. I remember saying this to Jake. I have a rule in Major League Baseball that if you have a no-no or a perfect game going and your manager wants to take you out, you then throw with your other hand. You stay in the game. You rely on your defense.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
You
I'm
cannot be
fine
taken
with
out for that. Baseball needs entertainment. They need. Why would I ever mention the Padres national score?
Yeah, but
on this morning show.
But KB,
I don't care about your arm.
It's arm fatigue.
Well, Tommy John is like Halloween candy at this point for
really
everybody.
Is. It really is.
I would like to see some ambidextrous pitching at this point.
Sure. Why
Keep
not?
it going.
I think I saw Bob McIntyre swing right-handed in the British Open.
That'd make it more impressive.
Did that.
It'd be more impressive then.
Exactly. Would you not watch?
Yeah. He's throwing lefty now. Tune in, everybody.
I mean, I feel like I
honey.
see at times they bring the position player into pitch, when it's a blowout, the guy plays every position, like one time a year you see, oh boy, we're down 14-2 in the second inning. Let's have, Andy Sweeney play every position. And, the guy comes in and he lobs his little 55-mile-per-hour, whatever you want to call it, and the batter can't hit it. The batter has no idea how to hit it.
That's a great point.
Well, fly ball. That could be Dylan Cease with the left arm yesterday.
By the way, Chris Denari's still texting us. His wife does have a she shed. See, I told you. I wasn't wrong. I knew it. I knew Denari built a she shed.
That looks like the best backyard of all time.
It really does. Anyway.
I mean, it looks amazing.
It is immaculate.
Reds in Tampa Bay
Does that shock
tonight.
you at all?
No, it doesn't. Cubs and Royals tonight. Cardinals, they get the Nationals at 8:15. Indianapolis Indians 7-2 over the Iowa Cubs. They got 3 straight wins over your AAA team, Mark. How about that? Those two back at it tonight at 8:08 p.m.
Again, opening ceremony for the 2024 games in Paris. Team USA Women's Soccer getting the win over was it Zambia yesterday. I believe that's who they played. I would probably
I did not see any of that.
I'm always confused that the Olympic Games start before the actual opening ceremonies.
They have to, I guess,
you got to
right?
space, venues and soccer, out and all of that. But yes, swimming on the horizon. Sounds like we hate Australia when it comes to swimming.
Speaking of, did you happen to see the Canadian women's soccer coach got fired for the drones?
So it was first just a suspension of a game, right?
Yeah, we talked about this. Apparently, the women's team there in Canada, they flew drones over another team's practice. They went Belichick.
Gosh,
they
I
went
love
modern
that.
day. Yeah, they went modern day Bill Belichick.
I love that effort.
And I guess they got caught and they sent her
Should
home.
we hire that coach for the U.S. men's national team? Do we need that?
Listen, I'm all in. I have absolutely no problem. Let me give you one more here, if you don't mind, before we go to break. MLS Commissioner Don Garber had a press conference yesterday, kind of the break for MLS right now. This is Fox 59. We're taking this audio from them on expansion. MLS expanding to Indianapolis. I know that's been a hot story around here. It's about 35 seconds. Take a listen to the commissioner of the MLS.
Well, there is no specific timing in place. Mayor Hogsett was at one of our events last night. He came to New York and met with us in the league office. The folks at the state and other people around the city are very bullish about an MLS team in Indianapolis, but we've done this a lot. We've expanded, by over 20 teams or about 20 teams, over the last 25 years. So we understand how to manage this process. We love the city. We love the support from the city leaders and from the state. We think there's interesting ownership dynamics. We like the location that they're talking about for the stadium. So we'll continue to work with them and see how it plays out.
Quickly, because I know we want to get back to the Colts. I thought it was interesting. Number one, ownership dynamics. We still don't know, KB.
Be nice to hear that.
What those so at least somebody knows what the ownership dynamics are. We are not one of them in the general public. And then I thought this was hey, we like you, Indianapolis, but this is going to be a process. It's going to take some time. Everybody slow down. We've done this before, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah, a couple other comments I heard from him throughout the week. It was not like, here's the red carpet, we can't wait to have you next year. It wasn't like to that level. And I get there's, a legal aspect to all of this, but yes, I think at this point, we're just curious for a few more details on it.
Yeah, so there's your morning check down. All right, how's this for a tease? Run the damn ball. That's the rhetoric we heard yesterday. Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen. We'll let you hear that sound, and we'll talk about it next. Appreciate you hanging out with us. It's a Feel Good Friday on this summer right here on The Fan, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Less than 20 minutes, A.D. Mitchell going to join us here on the Wake Up Call. Yesterday, Andy Sweeney, you and I hung around after practice. Shane Steichen met the media for his first training camp media session. Again, not often I walk away from a Steichen presser thinking, oh, wow, that was an interesting clip that I think is worth playing in our most listened to segment of the show. But lo and behold, here we are, and we have a clip that would fit that.
Well, we do, and you know what's funny about it? Usually his clips are about 7 or 8 seconds. Mark, you've dealt with this audio. You might get a 10 or 11, 12 seconds, but, I think they hear some of the rhetoric. They hear, the rhetoric that, even we talk about, and that is, how much is Anthony Richardson going to run the ball? Injuries, and are you going to lessen that and everything else? He was asked about it. It's about 30 seconds. It gets to the part you're talking about here, about 10 seconds in. Here's Shane Steichen yesterday on Anthony Richardson and running the football.
Well, I think it's exciting because the playbook is open to everything. You got a quarterback that can do everything. He can throw from the pocket. He can get out of the pocket. He can run the football. And then you got Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best backs in the league. And to have both those guys in the backfield is going to be critical for our success. People ask this too a lot. It's just like, hey, how are you going to limit the run game? And I kind of think like, shoot, are you going to limit Steph Curry from, shooting three-pointers? Well, that's one of Anthony's strengths, right? So we're not going to, get away from that. That's what he does well. So.
All right, so there's Steichen on limiting the run game with Anthony Richardson. Then after that, Richardson met with the media and basically said, hey, my legs are my superpower, and here's that conversation.
My legs always been one of my superpowers, so trying to take that away from me, I don't think that's a good thing for this offense. It's just more so me, playing a little bit more smarter and learning how to take care of myself for my teammates, and knowing when to make the right play and knowing when to try to get an extra few yards. So, don't take my legs away, but just be more smart.
All right, so this has been a conversation for us. You have been passionate on this. What is your read of what the quarterback and the head coach said yesterday? I'm interested in this.
Well, let's start here, okay? Shane Steichen on the Shane Steichen meter, that is a pretty direct, aggressive, if that's the right term, type of statement.
It is.
And let's just provide context around Shane Steichen meeting the media yesterday. Andy, it's the first time he's spoken to the media in over a month and a half. This is not day 13 of camp where he has been asked this question for 11 straight days like Jonathan Taylor's contract situation.
Yep.
So I bring that up to say this is not a tired head coach, sick and tired of being asked this, and now he's coming with new ammo and he's, boom, I'm going to just shut up, more or less is what he said with that Steph Curry comment. That is I've got the talking points ready. I'm walking in here ready to, again, he talked for 5-6 seconds before he went to the Steph Curry comment there. Obviously, my first thought is, show me Steph Curry getting hit by 200-pound defenders in the NFL after he takes these three-point shots. That would be my first counter to that. And, again, I have said many times, Andy, limit, not eliminate. And I will continue to say that. Let's go back to the facts, okay? What are the facts of last year with Anthony Richardson? He suffered 4 injuries. The 4 players that hit him on those plays, only one of them weighed more than 220 pounds. This was not Jarrell Casey at 300 pounds falling on Andrew Luck's shoulder.
Well, his concussion was a defensive back.
Yeah, there were multiple defensive backs that injured him last season. So, Luck's shoulder issues start with a massive defensive tackle falling on his shoulder. There's a lot of you just shrug your shoulders and say, what can you do? With Richardson last year, Harold Landry, it was about Richardson's size who ended his season. But again, the other 3, all guys that weighed less than 220 pounds. And I hear Richardson's comments right there. I got to be smart at this and that. I think Richardson's smart running it. I don't think he's Josh Allen reckless.
Right.
Remember the first play.
Or Will Levis, by the way. Will Levis had 4 or 5 reckless plays that got him injured last year.
Levis is trying to earn his stripes. So Allen, it's like, dude, we know you're good. You don't need to do this.
You're year 7. You don't need to do this anymore.
Go back to the Rams game last year. Richardson leaves the Houston game with a concussion in the second quarter. He misses that Ravens game in week 3. He comes back, and we're like, okay, what's he going to look like? The first play of the Rams game, he slides in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
in Lucas Oil Stadium.
The Bronx cheer.
Goes Bronx cheer.
Yeah.
Watch those plays. The Houston one, okay, if you want to nitpick, you should probably run through the tape to kind of use the track and field analogy there in the end zone. None of the other hits were reckless, were stupid. None of that. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say all 4 were designed run plays. So I hear those comments, and I strongly disagree with them. Yes, there is a superpower and a strength element that Richardson brings to the table. But to be so naive to compare it to Steph Curry's three-point shooting like there's no risk involved with it,
yeah, but they fun. What
I
it
can't
is
get behind that.
I know they, and this is not surprising. Steichen, we talked about this offseason wise because we didn't get to see much of AR last year, and we talked about lessening, keeping his legs healthy if you need those big fourth quarter runs. I think that's something that the Bills have been trying to instill in Josh Allen. When we had Nate Tice on a month and a half ago, that's what he said. He said, hey, I'd like to see, if you're going to run Anthony Richardson, let's see some of those second half, fourth quarter.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
again, there's time and place, 2nd and 7, 10 minutes to go in the second quarter of week 3. It's not the Super Bowl.
That Trey Sermon can get the handoff.
So that's where I'm at with this. And again, I think, and I know I have been probably beating this into the ground, so I apologize. But to me, limit, not eliminate, is a very concise way to describe my thinking. Like, let's just play, and I'm not going to get deep into math because I've done this before, and I've ended up looking like an idiot, very similar when I called Walker Mason yesterday when I brought him on air. 1 design run a quarter. If you took 1 design run, a quarter, off of the plate of Anthony Richardson, and you add up all of that math over the course of 17 weeks, you're talking about eliminating 30-some hits from him. I mean, think about that over the course of a 17-week season. I mean, again, he's played 1 full season in his football career here that truly matters. You can't compare his high school career when he's bigger than everybody out there times 10. He's bigger than the offensive lineman. If you want to talk about his college football, his NFL career, it was a 12-game season at Florida. You're asking him to play 5 more. You're asking him to do it with NFL bodies. You're asking him then to, hopefully, obviously play playoff games. So how do you survive that? Again, Lamar Jackson, when he has been hurt in his NFL career, 2 injuries have popped up in December.
Yeah, it's been
That's
late in
wear
the year.
and tear. So limit. Don't eliminate it. No, you draft him 4th overall for a reason. For all the reasons Shane Steichen described it. Yes, there is a Steph Curry element. I get what Steichen was trying to say with that. But to act like there's no risk involved in running him a lot, to me, it just seems super naive.
Because Steichen often, gives rather boring press conferences, I do wonder if there is room for a follow-up on this subject. In other words, I think when I heard Steichen say that yesterday, KB, the thing that came to my mind, and, I used to follow guys like Calipari and Patino always would hear things, and Calipari as well. As much as they say they don't listen or they don't hear the rhetoric, they do, or people close enough to them always do, and they tell them. Because, Shane Steichen knows that the conversation around, whether it's here or in other places, KB, that the conversation is, hey, how much should you be running your quarterback given that he's been injured, given that he spent last year injured? I think, so there is some nuance there. Does Steichen really feel like you do that you can lessen a little bit, but it does not sound that way.
No,
it
no
does
way.
not
No,
sound
no
that
way.
way. And so, this is fun that the first day of camp we get this, because me and you have talked about this all offseason. And what did we figure that we had pegged? That Shane Steichen would want to open the offense and not do anything that would lessen Anthony Richardson running the ball. And it goes back to a conversation that we had either yesterday or the day before that, the analytics that teams use around a running back, they're not using right now around Anthony Richardson. And it makes me wonder when you go to the concussion last year, and I don't know if it's even the play that knocked him out with the shoulder. I wonder if they look at a couple of those plays and just say, those are fluke plays. Like the concussion play almost doesn't count against Houston because, Anthony's never going to let up again, right? He's going to be able to fix that. Steichen, listen, if you are a run-the-ball guy, Shane Steichen gave you exactly what you wanted. One other thing there is a part of me, and I want to be clear on this, okay? I'm not trying to be, big bad meathead football guy. There is a part of me that I got to be honest, that does like Steichen coming out, and even Anthony Richardson saying, we're opening this offense. I don't know if it's ignoring last year. We're running the football, and we're running Anthony Richardson. That's what he's good at. That's what I did. You look at Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts says they've ran him into the ground. I mean, Shane Steichen did his time there as well. There's a part of me that loves it that, we can only legislate injury so much in football.
Which is true.
Go play football. There's a part of me that says, I love it. Let's go play football. Let's, fully see if you need to run AR, you can. And I say that knowing that I do also feel on the other end, the more they run Anthony Richardson, the more he's not playing 17 games. You understand my problem here.
Yes, and that's why I've chosen the phrase that I've chosen. Limit, not eliminate. Again, I'm not saying take it out. You draft him 4 overall for a reason, because he does provide this ability. What did I just say? One designed run a quarter.
Yeah, you're not asking for much.
No, I'm not asking for much, but I'm asking for over the course of 17 weeks.
But you're asking for something. That's what you are, and I'm not sure you're going to get the something.
And again, what I'm asking for, Andy, is difficult to gauge. Predicting injuries and, exactly tread on tires and how guys are going to handle hits, none of that is an exact science. I will fully admit that. So again, my idea might not sound perfect by any means, but it's like, okay, how can you potentially get this guy to the finish line? Because him getting to the finish line is a fair question. And, for many running quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts' situation that he dealt with last year. Again, Lamar Jackson has dealt with this on a couple of occasions. Josh Allen is by far the unicorn in this. He is by far the outlier in all of this. So I just, how do you do it a little bit? Can you do it a little bit? I would like to see them attempt to do it a little bit. One design run a quarter. Don't think that's going to all of a sudden greatly reshape how you look. You're still going to use Richardson's legs. It's still going to put a threat in the defense. I think that's the other thing missing. Just because I'm saying limit a little does not mean DeMeco Ryans in week 1 can sleep on Anthony Richardson, because the moment you sleep on him, boom, he's gone. Look what DeMeco Ryans, look what Richardson did to Houston,
week 2.
In that week 2 matchup last year. So you are still going to have the threat, and it's still going to be potent, and it's still going to be alive and well. And I've brought up the Zach Moss 56-yard touchdown against the Titans on numerous occasions of the weapon that Richardson just brings to the table. Go back, watch the all 22 of that play. The Tennessee defenders, multiple of them, go to Richardson. Here's Moss, who's not a home run hitter. He rips off a 56-yarder in a short yardage situation. Now you put Taylor next to him, because remember, Zach Moss averaged a full yard per carry more with Richardson at quarterback than Gardner Minshew at quarterback. Now imagine Taylor, who's more of the home run hitter next to him. So I appreciate Shane's honesty. I appreciate Shane coming with a little ammo. Because, again, for Shane, this is ammo. This is not, I'm trying to think of a coach that just says anything and everything. This is not Dan Hurley in a press conference setting. But if we're going to make the Steph Curry analogy, let's not act like it's apples to apples here. Steph Curry does a celebration and runs back and points to, whatever, his kids in the crowd. Anthony Richardson's got to peel himself off the turf.
Shane Steichen doesn't normally let us into his mind on what he's thinking all the time in football. And yesterday we got some of that, and I know we got to take a break.
And there was a little follow-up, by the way. I know you just said that.
Okay.
Holder tried to go a little follow-up, and Shane doubled down in a Shane way. Not like he didn't repeat the Steph Curry line, but he doubled down on it, basically saying the run game's going to be up every week. And, that's how it's going to be. For me, how can you find a little bit, just to try and save him as you migrate through a 17-week season? That's my attempt.
Yeah, it's going to be a conversation we're going to have. If he stays healthy, we'll have it less. If he doesn't, obviously, we'll have it more. All right, A.D. Mitchell, how did his college career help get him to the NFL? What does he see early on with that Colts offense? Rookie wide receiver A.D. Mitchell, our conversation with him. It's coming up next, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We'll play that A.D. Mitchell interview here in just a second. Again, we caught up with the rookie out of Texas after practice yesterday. Really enjoyed that convo, so we'll play that for you here coming up in just a minute. A reminder, again, our camp content, 1075thefan.com, notebook recaps daily. No practice today. We're in studio today. Tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon, and then next week we'll be out there for morning practices Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a pretty good crowd out there yesterday.
It was a great crowd. I mean, I don't know if it was technically a sellout, but it sure looked like it. I mean, it was full. It was busy.
And
a lot of autographs being signed yesterday.
I was going to say, on the autograph front, as you might hear later on in this interview, a little chant for one Anthony Richardson. So, again, we recorded this yesterday. He's the rookie out of Texas. He's A.D. Mitchell. And welcome back to Grand Park. Practice number 1 complete for the Indianapolis Colts. And joining us right now, he's number 10 in the program. A.D. Mitchell is with us. And I guess I start here. I should call you Adonai, right? On first reference, is that right? I want to make sure I got this.
Adonai.
Okay, so Adonai on the first reference, and then AD after that?
AD, yeah.
Okay, good to go on that end. First practice, and you just had a little extra workout here. Is that pretty typical? I saw you do that a lot in the spring.
Of course. You got to. You can't be too comfortable. There's always somebody out there working, so, you're trying to beat the imaginary man.
Now, we had Latu join us on report day, and he couldn't get over the amount of snacks he had to bring in for the D-line room. What does the whiteout room snack bag look like here?
Come on, man. We got the honey buns. Of course, you got to have the oatmeal cream pies. I just grabbed extra Capri Suns just because, I love Capri Suns. But yeah, it's all that. We got chips, really just all the goodies. We're not really too big on candy, but more so the breaded snacks, you know what I mean?
I like the whiteout room better than the D-line room with the snacks.
Yeah, you guys.
Capri Suns on a hot day.
You guys work out so much you can burn these calories. This would kill someone. This would kill someone like me. I noticed, and tell me if I'm wrong. I noticed you wore your own shirt on check-in day, right?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
My brother.
Okay.
Made it. So I was just out here networking. I'm hollering at the guys like, "Hey, bro, you need one? I got you." So I got. We got
a little side business.
Yeah. We got something in the works.
He is A.D. Mitchell. He's with us here live at Grand Park. I want to go back to what I believe would have been your first time inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. What do you remember about that national championship game?
It's crazy because, just coming back and practicing at the facility, we were there my freshman year.
Okay, so with Georgia, you practice here at Grand Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything just feel like I just been here before. So it just all feel regular. Yeah. Shout out Georgia, man.
How do you describe 5 college football playoff games and a touchdown in every single one of them?
I say luck, probably.
Do you believe in the clutch gene?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, just being there when the opportunity presents itself, just being able to kind of take that in. So that's really all it is.
You've talked about, I know, through the draft process, both Texas and Georgia helping you get to this point.
Yeah.
Specifically, what did you take from Georgia and what did you take from your year at Texas to get to this point?
For sure. Georgia, everything was hard. Practices was hard. We practiced with the sun being right above our heads every single day, whether it was team run, just off-season workouts, just everything was made to be hard so that, kind of once we got into the game, it was nothing.
Plus Kirby has that defense.
Yeah.
You know that.
Man.
Yeah.
Coach Kirby would be on that microphone going crazy, dog. Legit. It'll be 3 fields. He all the way on field 1, way in the back corner.
He's in Lebanon right now, and we can hear him.
Man. And he just, AD, what are you doing? He see everything. He like the eye in the sky, dog. So, I felt like he did a great job just pushing the guys, never letting people really get complacent, really. That's all the program was about, from Coach Kirby to position coaches to the strength coaches, and then at Texas it was kind of the same way. Coach Sark and Coach Kirby definitely have different type of coaching styles. one's an offensive coach, one's a defensive coach.
Right.
You know, it's different things come with that. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. If you know, you know. But I mean, kind of the same. Like workouts were hard, but kind of at Texas, I say just coming from Georgia, being at two national championships and kind of coming into a team, I had to learn to buy into the program, buy into to kind of what they was doing, and once I did that, it was just up from there. So I definitely enjoyed both universities, and both universities helped me get here today.
Again, he is A.D. Mitchell. He's with us here live at Grand Park. We had Michael Pittman Jr. join us yesterday. He mentioned he wants your releases. He wants your ability to get off the line and to beat opposing DBs. If I flipped that question and said, what do you want to take from Michael Pittman Jr.'s game, what would you say? Hands,
Toughness, run after catch ability, everything. Like legit, like how smart he is. He knows the game. He understands the game. He could talk the game very well. And just right now, really, he's just been a teacher for me. Really, him, really the older guys, not even just receivers, quarterbacks. Like they've all just been teaching me. I've been trying to take everything away from somebody. Just take something from each person on the team. That's kind of been my goal, and Pitt has definitely bought into the leader role, I'd say.
Now, we know about a little Colts mini camp that Pitt helped organize out in Cali here during the summer break. He brought you out early, is that correct?
Yeah, I called him up one random day. I was like, what you doing, bro? He's like, I'm out here in Cali. I said, I'm pulling up. He said, all right, bet.
What state were you in when you called him?
I was in Texas.
Okay, that's what I figured,
you decided to go out there early.
Yeah.
Why?
I called him just to learn from him. I'm like, man, this dude has been here for, I think, 7 years this year, 7 for him. And I'm just like, man, whatever he's doing, I need to learn that. And I mean, I did just that. Like I went out there, I saw how he worked. You know, I saw the things he was doing, how he was taking care of his body, how he was putting in work. You know, how he was getting extra conditioning in, and I was like, yeah, like this is the type of person I need to lean on every day. So,
What A.D. Mitchell with us? What is the thing? Whether I listen, it's the little mini camp we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just a few practices. I mean, obviously out here today, like already, what's a thing or two that they've kind of showed you, hey, you're going to need to know this, and you go out there today and you're like, yeah, I needed to know that. Is there something already that stuck with you?
Staying locked in. Don't let kind of the day-to-day of everything, because it's going to be a long camp. Especially going from college to the league, it's much longer than college fall camp. And the turnaround is going to be much quicker. Like, I think we got a preseason game, like, somewhere coming up. So the turnaround is going to be a lot quicker. So just staying locked in, buying into everything. Like, try to know the offense and not just know what you have to do, but know the whole offense and why you're doing what you're doing and how you're going to execute it.
2 weeks from Sunday, that first preseason game.
Yeah, it's
It'll
coming.
be here
Turn around fast,
before
man.
you know it. Just a couple minutes left here with A.D. Mitchell live here at Grand Park. You can hear the chants in the background for A.D. Mitchell's quarterback here,
That's
Anthony
wild.
Richardson. You mentioned you want to take one thing from all these people, wide receiver room. Let's go to your position coach. What's the one thing early on you've learned from Reggie Wayne?
He true to everything he say. Everything he tells you to do, he's done. Like he'll give kind of small coaching points on different routes that will help you. And it's like I'll listen to the coaching and I'll watch the film and I'm like, yeah, he right. Like he's 100% correct. So I'd definitely be a fool not to listen to a man like that has done it at a high level, done it at a very elite level, and should be going into the Hall of Fame soon. So yeah, I've just been blessed to have him as my coach.
A.D. Mitchell with us here on The Fan. You wear number 10. For people that don't know, that's because 10 other wide receivers were taken before you in the NFL draft. You have that chip on your shoulder? Do you still have that chip on your shoulder? It's been a few weeks now since that draft.
No, most definitely. I say really the main thing it was for was just for myself, just self-motivation. Just every time I see it, it just let me know that I didn't do enough, really. Once it came down to it, 10 teams chose receivers, and 10 people had me on the board and said, no, we want this guy. So it's more so like okay, if you say you that guy, you got to be that guy at all times. And if you was that guy, you wouldn't be wearing number 10 right now. So it ain't got nothing to do with anybody else. It's more so just for me. Every time I see it, I'm like, okay, I got something to think about every day.
Just a funny story. We had Coach Jackson on, your wide receiver coach, and he told us, we were asking him about you, and obviously you have been vocal, and other people have been vocal about you going 52nd overall, whatever it was. And he said my wife had to take my phone away that night. He said I was about to tweet some things that were going to get me in trouble. So he backs you. Nick Saban said you were a top 5 wide receiver. Did you hear that? Did you hear that conversation during the draft?
Shout out, Coach.
Yeah, he said no. He goes, A.D. Mitchell should be top 5. That's what he said.
He saw firsthand in the SEC.
Yes, he did.
We'll end with this, and thanks for the time. I know it's been not many months here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you've enjoyed doing, or a favorite part about Indy, favorite restaurant, anything on that end, or is it still getting pretty used to life here in the middle of the Midwest?
I say I kind of just moved in. I don't know if y'all seen, but I had my TV and my game system on the floor, and I posted it. I ain't think nobody was gonna think nothing of it, but kind of right now, just trying to look around, just find different things to go in the crib, man. But shoot, food-wise, I say Harry and Izzy's. I've been going crazy on that.
Gotta love that.
Okay.
Crazy.
So you're playing the college football game. That's what you mean by that, right?
Yeah.
You having the gaming system.
Yeah.
So who do you
It's
play
just been
with? I
sitting
mean,
on
you
the-
played for Texas and Georgia. I mean, you played for one of those or what?
I mean, I haven't really.
It's a big decision.
I'm not gonna lie, man. College football is nothing like Madden.
Okay, so you're on Madden then.
I'm great at Madden.
Okay.
I am a regular civilian. I'm so pedestrian in college football. Like it's terrible.
A humble thought right there from AD.
So
it is.
You know what I'm saying? I just been trying to grind it out.
You play
work.
Madden online?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, because people are going to figure out who you are. Yeah, I was about to say, that might be a difficult one.
People too good for me, man. They way too good.
It's sorcery how good they are.
Facts.
It really is.
He is a great player on Madden. He's loving some Harry and Izzy's, and he certainly turned some heads back in the spring, and hoping to do the same thing here at Grand Park. AD, congrats, man. I know it's been a whirlwind for you. Thanks for the time, and good luck this season.
Appreciate you.
All right, there's our conversation. Rookie wide receiver A.D. Mitchell here on The Fan. We'll have that shortly. Podcast Center, 1075thefan.com. Appreciate him there. Appreciate the Colts hooking that up after his first practice in the NFL. We said when we were listening back to that, KB, I like his youth and excitement. And we've now had conversations with Latu and Mitchell. And both of those guys, to me, their similarities are that their personalities seem to be rather infectious. They have fun personalities, and I think on top of it, they bring something different to the team, right? I mean, I think Latu could be that elite end, on the defensive end, and then, I don't know, I mean, even before, we hit record on that interview, that dude's just fun. I mean, I don't know. There's just, there's something about him. He brings something perhaps on the field and KB off the field that maybe the Colts lack in that room. And he's got some good guys to kind of learn from, especially when you look at Michael Pittman Jr. And I agree that Josh Downs will have a big year, but great stuff from A.D. Mitchell. He's a fun dude. Talking with him and Latu, both those guys are pretty fun guys.
Yeah, I would agree in their own kind of individual ways. I think both of them have, personalities that people gravitate towards. I think there's a level of, high energy. Maybe Latu, you more really feel it, but I think Mitchell has some of that as well. And I think the point that you bring up, they diversify the rooms that they're in. We talked about the play that Latu had yesterday. Again, not in full pads. It's well down the left tackle depth chart, but still, it's a play that really stood out to me, and he's made a couple of those, and we'll wait to get truer evaluations on him. And yes, it was a quiet day for Mitchell on the practice field, but of course, he had some moments in the spring, and Michael Pittman Jr., for example, and even Reggie Wayne and Chris Ballard and, Shane Steichen. AD brings something that we don't have to that wide receiver room, is a popular sentiment from them. One thing I did want to share yesterday, because we heard from a couple other players, and this is in regards to Latu. Kwity Paye met the media, and I don't know if you caught any of the pictures or videos of guys reporting for training camp. That's kind of a popular thing that obviously teams do around the league, and sending out videos of guys getting out of their cars, walking to the facility, et cetera, et cetera. When I saw Kwity Paye, I don't know if I said this to you, but I was like, whoa, he looks slimmer to me.
Yeah, he lost weight. Yeah,
and I'm kind of like, some of it is we all probably have been here with our own very different looking bodies. Well, that sure just fits me well. It's one of those things. I'm like, I'm looking forward to asking Quiddy about that when we get the opportunity. We were doing the A.D. Mitchell interview while Quiddy was meeting the media yesterday, but in that discussion, he mentioned that he lost about 10 to 15 pounds, put back some of it with muscle, but lost about 10 to 15 pounds in an effort to try and get a little bit, and this is his word, bendier off the edge. So basically, if you want to put that into numbers, he said at times he was playing around 270 pounds and could really feel that late in games, late in seasons, late in drives, he mentioned as well. Now it's a little closer to 260, kind of right around that mark, and he feels better here on, whatever, July 25th would have been yesterday. So I bring that up to say this. I've been pretty vocal about Kwity Paye needing to be more of a consistent pass rusher, and when I've talked about him, I've described it in this way, Andy. At Michigan, he didn't put up huge sack numbers. Where the Colts fell in love was this. He's got incredible strength. I think you see that in defending the run, and then he put up these high-level testing numbers. We know the Colts, they're enamored with the combine testing numbers and the pro day stuff. When I've watched Kwity Paye through 3 years, though, I haven't seen those testing numbers. I haven't seen the quickness, the burst to that effect. And so I hear him discuss it yesterday, and I think to myself, okay, that's an attempt at trying to get faster, to trying to get a little bit quicker off the edge, and that obviously is an attempt at, I think, trying to be more of a consistent pass rusher. So, again, I think you need more of that from Kwity Paye, and I think it's a smart move by him in trying to make a very concerted effort in doing so.
Yeah, I took a screenshot of something the Colts put out. I want to say it was right at the beginning of the week. It was Monday or Tuesday, and I can't remember if it was from another offensive line coach or a defensive line coach, or if it was from Charlie Partridge, who's new now with the Colts this season, that said that Kwity Paye had a great offseason. Out of a lot of guys that work out together defensive line-wise, that Kwity Paye really stood out. And then you mentioned today, him him losing some weight. And, that room, there's a lot of I think, number one, there's a lot of competition in that room. And I think, number two, as well, if you're a Colts fan or even Chris Ballard, you're waiting on the Kwity Paye pick to hit, right? I mean, there's been some moments. It hasn't been a bust of a pick, but you're waiting for that pick to hit and finally kind of realize its full potential. And I don't know. It's another offseason where it seems like there is rhetoric again that Kwity Paye can take his game to the next level. You combine that with the other guys that they have. You combine that with the youth. And what I think is going to be uber talent from a guy like Latu, that's a room that I'm excited about. I think you look on offense, yes, wide receivers, but the fact that Shane Steichen is going to be able, you would hope, with AR and Jonathan Taylor and others, to be able to control the running game. And then on the flip side, we talk so much, are the corners good enough? Or do they have enough experience? Why didn't Ballard go get another safety? All that stuff. On the positive side, I really think this defensive line can be really good. Last year, I know they got to the quarterback. Their numbers say they got to the quarterback, maybe not timely, different points in the fourth quarter, whatever it is. So maybe Kwity Paye is helping that out as he helps his body out by losing a little bit of weight. But I'm excited for the defensive line. They have a rotation that's really good.
And I don't know if he deserves a ton of credit for it, but I will give him some credit for this. The Colts picked up that fifth-year team option for Kwity Paye. It's probably not something I would have done, but I'm curious if that had any stipulations of, we want you to lose this weight. Again, Alec Pierce is putting some weight on to try and, be a little bit more physical wideout, create separation, improve his play strength, those things. Did that come with, this sort of notion here with Kwity? And, some guys could say, hey, I got the fifth-year team option. I'm not in a contract year. I'm good. I don't need to do anything. And I think the Colts should appreciate that out of Kwity for making an attempt on that again. Off day for the Colts today, tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon. Just saw this note here from Mark Spears, longtime cover of the NBA. This is in regards to how many NBA players and WNBA players are in the Olympics NBA says Olympic rosters feature a record 51 players from the league. Obviously, the U.S. has all 12. Canada has 10 of their 12 from the NBA. Australia has 9. France has 5. 10 of the 12 men's teams have at least 5 players with NBA experience.
Wow. I wonder, I don't know if they said that, but what was that number 20 years ago, you wonder? 10
and I'd
years
have to
ago,
guess
15
on
years
countries,
ago.
I'd maybe guess Puerto Rico and Japan as the ones that maybe don't reach that 5 number threshold. I could be totally off on that.
Puerto Rico is in our pod, right?
Right.
So they have Jose Alvarado. Would they have anybody else? He's an NBA. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. I know you're not going to know that.
No.
Serbia has a couple. Obviously with Joker and,
now,
and a couple other guys.
You mentioned the Pacers graphic had up the USA and Canada schedule, correct?
Yeah, I just, I took a screenshot, put it in my calendar, so I know we're in, the first 3 games where everybody's at. Yeah.
Were they neglecting our guy from Nebraska?
yes, they were.
Were they neglecting
Tominaga?
our Japanese Buddy Hield?
Yeah, they were.
Our Japanese Steph Curry?
Yeah, I was
Shane
about to say-
Seiken's making Steph Curry analogies. I'll make one for Keisei Tominaga.
Yeah, they forgot about him. They just
The
focused.
Nebraska, have they built a statue? Is it Eric Crouch and then Tominaga? Are those the 2 statues out there?
I would imagine at some
Trev
point here,
Alberts, maybe?
I would imagine at some point here, KB will have Rick Carlisle back on. We need to, as theater, we need to ask him about Tominaga first, not Halliburton at his time in the Olympics or, re-signing his guy, Andrew Nemhard. We need to ask him about Tominaga.
Let that
See
be
what
the
he's got
first
to
question
say.
you ask. Like, we haven't had him on in months, and that'll be the first question.
How many minutes?
pressing
Where
question.
is he in the rotation right now,
He's
Coach?
got to be getting minutes for Japan, right? Now, they have Rui Hachimura, correct?
I believe so.
that's correct, yeah.
I would imagine he would get minutes for them. I mean,
We
who does
need-
Japan have?
We need a Tominaga just
Update?
fireball 6-minute flurry from him in the Olympic Games. They've got Germany tomorrow. We need Tominaga
Come on.
asking Daniel Tyson, the Wagner brothers, you switch on to me. Come out here for the pick and roll.
We need him to hit a 3 in Daniel Tyson's
you
face
imagine
to
his
win the
Olympic
game.
celebrations?
Oh,
I mean,
I
his
can't
celebrations
imagine.
in Assembly Hall in Mackey were enough. That group. So you got 3 groups here for the men. We've mentioned the U.S.'s group: Serbia, Puerto Rico, South Sudan. The group of death would be Canada. They fall in the group with Spain, Australia, Canada, and then Giannis and Greece. The group B, the highlight there would be Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert in France. They are joined by Mr. Tominaga. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine Tominaga and Wembanyama?
I love it. I
in
love
an
it.
ISO?
Oh, yeah.
Germany and Brazil. Is Anderson Varejao still playing for Brazil? Is Leandro Barbosa, Pacer legend, still playing?
Barbosa was fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of Team Japan right now, and obviously, I don't know anybody else who is on the team. Obviously, these are names I do not know. Good for them, except for Rui, obviously.
The one that sticks out is Josh Hawkinson.
There's a guy named Josh.
Well, there's a lot of dual citizenship when it comes to playing for these
basically
teams.
looks like if you went over there and you joined Team Japan, basically. Good for him. How about that?
He is an Olympian, and we're just sitting here in the lowly studios.
Yeah.
We need to look up, Mark. You mind doing this at some point? We need to look up when our guests we've had on are participating. Cole Hawker.
Oh, that's a great
Allie
point.
Wilson.
Well, the track
Lily
and field
King.
is the second week, so I would imagine.
Second week, so we'll start with the swimmers.
Yeah, so we'll
our
start with the
swimmers
swimming
were
side.
Lily King, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris Giuliano, right, from Notre Dame.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And he's doing a ton of events.
Well, he was the talk of the trials. If you remember a couple weeks back here in Indy, he was one of the names that stood out of, hey, this guy, we thought he might be in one of, he might make one race, and he's in a bunch of events. Yeah. By the way, can I give you something from my guy, Pat Forty?
Yeah, let
who
me
is
just
over
sneak
there?
this in real quick. Matt mentioned here, thank you, Matt. The Dream Team had 9 NBA players in the entire Olympics. So 9 to, what did Mark Spears say, 51?
Wow. That's unbelievable. It really is. That's unbelievable.
I'm shocked it was even 9 back in 92.
I am too. I am too.
I'm looking real quick. Chris Giuliano's first event is tomorrow in the men's 4x100 freestyle relay.
Nice.
And then he's got a men's 200 freestyle relay on Sunday and Monday. So
I do
all of
love
his
the
events will be
relays.
wrapped up by the 2nd.
These are our events,
Look up
too.
Lily King, too,
Okay.
Mark, while Andy shares this, because
Well-
those are always appointment with how Lily shows her emotion.
Just quickly, around the swimming trials, remember, we had Pat Forty on from SI.com, and he's out there. He's a huge Olympic guy. He is out there covering the Olympics. He's been there for several days. He tweeted out, so, right now it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, I think it's like 2:30. It's 8:30 here. It's like 2:30 there, whatever. Maybe it's 1:30. That's the time difference. So we could even try to have Pat on. I know he'd be busy, but the time difference won't be crazy. So he tweeted out about 40 minutes ago, KB, a lot of dissatisfaction emanating from the Olympic Village concerning buses and food. Not nearly enough of either. Heard about some athletes on buses as long as 2 hours from the village to the swim venue, and some teams are bringing in their own food. So early on, before the opening ceremonies,
the oatmeal cream pies, bringing the zebra cakes.
No buses. Buses take 2 hours, and no food at the Olympic Village, and we haven't got to the opening ceremonies
Why
today.
do I feel like that headline is like an annual 4-year headline for the Olympics?
Thank you. Doesn't it feel like it's every year there's something that happens where you're like, how do they not have food or water for these, highly trained or beds?
Yeah, the bed situation is always shoddy, or
sometimes protection
the
for the
prophylactics
athletes
are limited.
But they have plenty of protection if needed for these athletes
in some ways. Now, I know the men's and women's basketball teams, are they staying out on like a boat somewhere, or are they on the mainland with everybody else?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a boat. I don't know if they're on the old river, but I assume some sort of 5-star hotel is where they are. And I believe at some point, I think Steph Curry even said this yesterday. They'll make an appearance in the village, which obviously these athletes will love, and they'll show up to swimming. I recall multiple times, they would pan to the crowd and Kobe, LeBron, and Dwayne Wade would be there watching Phelps. Or, I forget where I was listening to the story. I think it was a past Olympian said one of the cooler moments, I think it was Missy Franklin. Do you remember that name?
Oh,
a swimmer?
Sure. Absolutely.
She said in the Beijing Games, one of the cooler moments was they all were eating in the big cafeteria in the village. And all of a sudden, half the room starts clapping, and then it's like the full room's clapping, everyone's standing up, and Usain Bolt had walked into the cafeteria.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just like, that aspect, if you're the badminton player from Kazakhstan, that's probably quite
cool.
the moment.
But even like, Kobe, LeBron, and D. Wade back in the day, it's like,
sure.
Even for them, it's like, how many times are you going to watch Michael Phelps, the best ever, up close, win 30 gold medals?
Right.
You're not going to see it.
The GOAT, certainly. If you missed it, about a week ago, we had Bob Costas on our show. We'll clip out his favorite Olympic moment. For those that missed it, it revolves tonight in the opening ceremony that you'll see here. Commence either live very shortly or on tape delay tonight for us here in the States. But pretty cool. Mark mashed up that favorite moment of Bob Costas. We'll play that coming up at 9 o'clock. And just a reminder, the one and only Lynn Dunn at 9:30.
Lily King's first event is Sunday, by the way. She's got
a bunch, I'd imagine.
The 100
right?
breaststroke prelims. Yeah, 2 events on Sunday, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She's got a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, for us, this is, you can watch it at night, but there's going to be a lot of events that are taking place between noon our time and like 4 or 5 o'clock, which is good for me. In my lifestyle. But.
Right. While we're doing this exercise, let's go over the USA basketball schedule just to give an idea of what time these tip times are. Sunday is 11:15 a.m. versus Serbia. Wednesday is 3 o'clock versus South Sudan. These are our times. And then next Saturday is their final group game. That's 11:15 a.m. So what'd you say it was? 5 or 6 hours is the time difference?
Yeah, I think so. I think I looked this up. I think it's, like 1:30 right now over in Paris. I'll check again. Why. It's 1 or 2:30. It's 2:30. Yeah, it's 2:30.
Yes, I guess a warning to everybody out there, and good luck in today's day and age of social media, especially when you're as addicted to it as I am. Yes, the 8 o'clock, Mike Tirico's hosting and tossing to events. These will, all of them are going to be on tape delay. They can't be at 1 a.m.
No, they're all going to be on delay. Yeah. I don't know. To me, how many people, I guess, maybe an older generation is going to be able to go without knowing who has won and who has lost? I don't know. Like, with your parents, I guess my dad probably would be able to make it to 8 o'clock at night without knowing.
Tirico's mentioned this because I've listened to him talk about hosting the Olympics. It's like, what you'll miss a little bit is the build up to the races. For Lily King, for example, if it's a great race, we're just going to give you that race. And then we'll move on to, hey, USA women's volleyball in the 5th set against Brazil, things like that. So you're not going to get maybe the full 2 hour event, but in a way, I guess it's a little red zone like of what you're going to get here of just kind of the highlights.
They are doing a red zone type thing. Did you see that?
Is that on Peacock?
Yes, it's called the Gold Zone.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be
Andrew
something.
Siciliano's doing it.
Is he doing it? I'm going to probably dial that up. You ready to get into a morning check down? Let's do a morning check down, Mark.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
All right, morning check down time. Let's get you some more sound from yesterday. Shane Steichen, Anthony Richardson, and more meeting with the media after, again, training camp practice 1 off today. Back at it Saturday and Sunday. Should remind people, get your parking pass and get those tickets. They're $5, Colts.com. You can do that. All right, so you heard our conversation there with A.D. Mitchell about 15 minutes ago. Shane Steichen was asked about his rookie wide receiver, what he wants to see from him, not only yesterday, but in training camp. Here's what Steichen had to say.
Yeah, just growth. I mean, shoot, rookie, obviously very talented receiver, just being around the guys, getting the competition, with the vets, day in and day out, and just continue to see the development, through training camp and going into the season.
Yeah, so a pretty basic answer from Steichen, but he did talk about A.D. Mitchell yesterday. As for your quarterback, Anthony Richardson, he was asked about him. JT, Jonathan Taylor, both in the backfield, the same backfield. Finally, we hope we get to that point in the regular season. Here's what AR had to say.
Man, I don't feel like there's any way you can stop the offense. We got too many options. I'm 2 options in myself. Throwing the ball and running the ball, and then you got JT back there. Then we got all these weapons, catching the ball for us. So I don't think there's any way we should be able to, be stopped. So we just got to keep it pushing and just keep working together and building more chemistry.
Crisp, that was the word Shane Steichen used to describe Anthony Richardson's first day. I'd say, yeah, for sure. 4 for 4 in the first red zone period. After that, it was primarily kind of a running focus the rest of that hour-long session. Again, nothing today for the Colts at Grand Park. Tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon. 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 2 days away from the preseason opener. Mark Dykton hitting the buttons. The Washington Nationals could not hit Dylan Cease yesterday. 114 pitches on the no-no there. Nothing says life as a Chicago White Sox fan absolutely sucks like seeing one of your own leave to go to the Padres and then throw a no-no and be great. Certainly. I'd mentioned this in the opening hour. I forgot that he had the no-no broken up with 2 outs. September 2022. So pretty cool. I still think it matters, Andy, because I just think
I agree.
Some of these pitchers aren't allowed to get to 114. So good work by the Padres there in allowing that.
Yeah, 9 Ks, just 3 base runners. Quickly, otherwise, in baseball, Reds in Tampa Bay tonight at 6:50. Cubs and Royals, a little interleague play. Royals are pretty good, Mark. There you go. That's an 8-10 game. Cardinals, Nationals.
I'm going to be so locked in.
At 8:15. Indianapolis Indians 7-2 over the Iowa Cubbies. They won 3 straight now, so good for them.
Let me sneak in one more on the baseball front from a local standpoint. I believe it was earlier this week. Maybe it was late last week. Lance Lynn, Brownsburg's finest, 2,000th career strikeout. I could not believe this. He is the 6th active pitcher to do that. I think when you put that into perspective, it shows you the type of career that Lance Lynn has had. So shout out to good old Hendricks County and Mark Dykton getting a TV as well, which we need to share.
Wow.
Here coming
I
up.
think 9 o'clock hour. I guess, Mark, you mentioned this just quickly. Last thing for me, there was a notable injury in the NFL. The Lions, Michael Badgley, their
former
kicker.
Colts legend.
Yeah, I mean, he's now out for the season. He injured himself. What did they say? He injured himself before practice?
Before the first practice, they said he suffered a severe injury. So I have no idea what that, like, he trip on a scooter or something? I don't understand what he could have done. Walking to the field or whatever, so maybe he was taking like an electric scooter or something and fell, but they said he suffered a severe leg injury and is now out for the season and will go on injured reserve immediately. So that's not a great way to start your training camp.
They're making that sound like that's not like an ACL or an Achilles, right? That like something happened that was outside of the normal kicking rotation of his leg. I don't know. So that's not good.
Maybe he tripped over, Dan Campbell doing up downs yesterday with the team.
Chris Teneri's dog bones we mentioned in the opening segment.
Maybe that's it.
18 of 21 on field goals for the Colts back in the 2021 season. What a legend.
He's a fine kicker. I mean, obviously, it's a big deal. You got to have a kicker. So we'll see what
the Colts have
Lions
2 right now
there.
in camp. The Colts have a dude from Notre Dame on their roster
who
kicking
is
as
it?
well. Spencer Schrader.
Oh, is he good? How good is he?
He's got a big leg and not very accurate.
Okay, good deal. I did like one thing we didn't talk about. We got to take a break. I love the Colts just letting everyone try out yesterday for basically the kick return.
There was literally,
I think 12 guys.
I was gonna say, I think I counted a dozen guys.
It was everyone from Downs to Doolin to Gold to
Alec Pierce, Kenny Moore.
Yeah,
I was like, unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's like a layup line. You're just like, you're next. Go.
It was. I mean, it's guys.
Literally.
It's guys that are going to play a lot. I mean, you talk about Pierce and Downs and Kenny Moore. Don't do the Jason Sehorn, okay? Don't get injured on the kickoff. It always scares me. So, nonetheless, good stuff there. Let's take a break. On the other end, Indiana's Curt Cignetti, our guy, Coach Sig. He said what yesterday at Big Ten Media Days. We'll let you hear that sound. We'll do it next. Appreciate you hanging out with us until 10 o'clock. Wake up call 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
When I hear this song, I think back to Super Bowl right here in Indy. Actually, Madonna on the old halftime show. Mark Dykton, the reason behind you deciding to play that, though?
Deadpool and Wolverine comes out today, and that song is featured heavily in the trailer, and I will be very excited to go see that movie.
If you are curious why Mark Dykton plays a reentry song throughout the show, he gives you a full list of these songs, or if you're unsure what the song is, at the end of each show on his Twitter account, so make sure to check that out.
Very high praise I've gotten on those, by the way.
I think it's very smart.
Yeah.
You get stuck in genres, which I like. Some days it's heavy metal, and then some days it's a little hip hop.
Sometimes we've had hard rock, Madonna, and rap. So
today's
straight to all fields.
Yeah, today's a nice mix.
I thought you might get the Anthony Richardson rap song going at some point.
I have to make sure that's cleared for radio.
We heard that yesterday on the practice fields at Grand Park, right, Andy? That was song number 1 to start stretching.
I do wonder, there's so many moving parts, and I would imagine a guy like Steichen, is running a pretty tight ship when it comes to, here's what I want, on my practice field and everything else. He talks about that. I'm sure many coaches do. The great ones do. I'm sure Steichen is that way. Whose job is it to edit out the curse words in the music they play for 2 hours out at Grand Park? Or do they get that music that way? Or does someone have to go through and edit all
Napster.
those?
Yeah.
Is that what LimeWire?
Yeah.
Is that what they go through?
LimeWire. There.
Someone has to do that.
When I played high school soccer, they made the mistake of letting the team pick the songs, and then they put it on a CD, and they did not vet it at all, and they put it on the loudspeakers in the football stadium.
Not too happy.
They put it on the loudspeakers of the football stadium. I've never seen my coach run faster to turn it off in my life.
I will not say the establishment, but I was at a local establishment that did not have any of the music edited, and I was like, wow, that's bold.
Yeah.
This is an all ages, this is a place where kids are kind of here. It's a bold choice, some of the songs.
One of our local radio stations, I won't give it away, but I was listening to it one time over the weekend, and they played an unedited Eminem song. And I'm like, does somebody know that this is being aired right now? I don't think this should be on the air.
I love that.
Yeah.
FCC shout out there. Speaking of bold, I would say the man leading the charge now in Bloomington with the football squad. You could put him in that category. Big Ten Media Days yesterday, Curt Cignetti, per usual, giving us some gold.
Yeah, really, there wasn't a whole lot that came out of Big Ten Media Days. I guess Lincoln Riley is like, hey, USC's behind in everything, and I guess we kind of knew that. I don't know. To me, there was no big storyline, but yesterday around noon, you're right, our guy, Curt Cignetti, Coach Sig, he met with the media. Now, he did, we're not going to play that. We're going to play one clip here, but, he basically had a shot at his former team that he knew after he met with some of the guys that Allen had brought in. He called the guys dead wood, I think, that he needed to go get some other players.
Tom Allen's players.
He basically ripped the players. And, listen, they were bad last year. They were not very good. We understand that. It's Indiana football. But here's Cignetti. He understands now the media had them picked, KB, second to last, okay? 17th out of 18 teams there in the Big Ten. Here's what Cignetti had to say about that yesterday.
Normally at these things, I stand up here and we're picked to win the league. It's just usually how it's been. I have been picked next to last twice, which we're picked 17th out of an 18-team league, and I get it. The 2 times we were picked next to last, in 2022, we won the conference championship. And in 2017, we inherited an 8-45 team and won 8 in a row and played JMU the last game of the year for the conference championship. Now, I'm not into making predictions. That's just a historical fact. Okay? So I know you guys have been waiting for me to say something crazy. That wasn't quite crazy.
I still just love Coach Sig.
I love the Google me one.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're not saying it's a prediction, but everything he said since he took over IU is like, hey, eventually we're going to win the Big Ten, and it's going to be sooner rather than later, KB.
I must laugh. So where was he before James Madison?
I need to look that up.
JMU.
Can you picture the James Madison Conference Media Day and what it looks like compared to the Big Ten Media Day was 3 days in an NFL stadium.
He probably thought it was like San Diego Comic-Con or something.
There was a duck in the White River at the Big Ten Media Day.
He was at Elon before James Madison. Elon.
Now, I will say this. You want to talk about a gift from the gods? Let's play out IU's schedule this year, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
their Big Ten schedule, we went over this earlier in the week. The Big Ten media had their preseason poll, 18 teams, which I was like, what? Are we changing the name to the Big Ten now? 18 teams, okay, in the conference, all right? If you go off of the preseason poll for the IU Big Ten schedule, this is the ranking of their Big Ten games. So just a reminder, 18 teams in the conference. This is a ranking of where these teams are picked to finish here in the Big Ten. 15th, 11th, 14th, 8th, 10th, 16th, 4th. That would be Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
You then have a bye week, face number one,
Right.
Ohio State.
You get Ohio State.
And then 17th or I guess I should say 18th in Purdue, as they were picked to finish. Was Purdue? Yeah, Purdue was picked to finish last.
Yeah,
right?
Purdue was
and
last.
IU 17th.
IU was
So think
second
about
to
that.
last. Yeah,
They have
it's not bad.
2 of the top 7 teams on their schedule and only 3 of the top 9 teams. They don't play Oregon, Penn State, Iowa, USC, or Wisconsin. I mean, that is a dream set. And it's not like, I mean, what's their non-conference schedule?
It's Florida International, Western Illinois, Charlotte. So, listen, I think he could. I think he could make a bowl game. I mean, you know what? Kirk Cignetti, for all of his talk, I know we don't care too much. Listen, I know Indiana fans aren't totally all in, but for all of his talk and that non-conference schedule where you should bank 3 wins, and if he's a great coach, UCLA is crap. You can maybe win that game, and then Purdue at the end of the year and some of the other teams you mentioned. I mean, I think Indiana fans should expect 6 wins. Right?
I mean, that schedule, and again, just look at next year's schedule to play this out. You have Oregon. You have Penn State on that schedule. You have Wisconsin. You have Iowa. You've got a little bit more to it than you do this year. If you want to go to the next year's schedule, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, and who knows how the college football landscape will keep on evolving. But you assume a lot of those programs will stay that way. So, yeah, even if you separate how much he talks, which it's a lot. Yes, I think. I mean, making a bowl, it would be very disappointing not to make it given that schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a gift from the gods.
Like I look at Northwestern. I mean, they have a new coach there. And I know they kind of were better than we thought last year. But I look at Northwestern. I look at UCLA. Michigan State has a new coach. I think Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. So I don't know what they're going to be. They've been down, obviously, the last couple years of shuffling coaches and everything. I don't know if irk is the word, but Purdue fans don't like Cignetti, and I love that. Right? I mean, come on. They're 17th and 18th picked by the media. There's not much juice there, but Cignetti's words could bring at least a little bit of juice to the back.
Well, remember when he said,
Purdue sucks?
Yeah, he said Purdue sucks, and Ryan Walters tweeted a picture of the bucket, right?
Yeah. So,
which is great.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. So, I think there's a little bit of that. I don't know, because Indiana's been, they've had so many coaches that have, ended up failing there. You hate to say it that way. I don't know if it's better content if Cignetti talks big and it doesn't work out, or if he talks big and I don't know what the line in the sand would be and it does work out. In Indiana, if they won 7 games a year, if he won 7 and 5, he might win Coach of the Year in the Big Ten.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
I forgot it was a pregnant pause. Go ahead, Mark. Play that again so I don't interrupt it.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
The pause is what makes the sound.
Oh my God. This guy should be in Hollywood.
He's great.
He's unbelievable.
And he's self-aware. He's like, I know you guys are ready for me to say something. He gets it. He gets it that he now has to be the guy, like a carnival barker. Is that an old term?
Yeah.
That's what he has to be.
Yeah, the Shane Steichen, Steph Curry comments, Kurt Cignetti says that, 3 times an hour, 6 times an hour.
That's nothing. So, good stuff. Finally, Big Ten Media Days have wrapped up at Lucas Oil. I'm sure we'll have more of that. By the way, we're doing our first tease today after the show for the Big Ten podcast KB and I are doing. So
we got that starting next week. That'll be out Wednesday, right?
Yeah, next week. So that should be a lot of fun as well. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Reminder, Lynn Dunn at 9:30. We got you to 10 o'clock here, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Some day one Colts training camp thoughts. We will get to that here in a few minutes, but I believe out west we've had a poking of the bear. Is that correct?
Well, I just, self-awareness. Like, I'm one of those people. I try to be self-aware, and there's many people in sports talk radio that are not self-aware, okay? I try to be self-aware in everything I do.
Are you going to name names there or no?
Well, I think it's a lot of sports radio people. But I saw this yesterday, and I just, listen, I know the Raiders went into Arrowhead and got a win, but the Raiders have been a crap franchise. It's fine to say it. They've been a crap franchise for a while. And, whatever. Yesterday in practice, one of their defensive backs, and now the tweet has actually been deleted, they had like a hand puppet of Kermit the Frog with a Patrick Mahomes jersey on. And they were mocking Pat Mahomes. And again, I know this big bad Raiders defense went in and Max Crosby and everybody else, and they went and they won in Arrowhead. But the lack of self-awareness that you have been, for the most part, a pathetic franchise that, again, goes into this year. And Gardner Minshew did a fine job here, so I'm not even trying to, give shrapnel. I don't want him to be hit by shrapnel.
Slandering Minshew, slandering Aiden O'Connell.
You go in with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, in a conference that has Pat Mahomes. I don't know. I mean, lack of self-awareness, so they were making fun of him. He sounds like Kermit the Frog and everything else. So God bless you, Vegas Raiders. What are we doing?
Will they be the worst team in the AFC this year?
No, the Patriots, right? I mean, don't
Broncos?
Yeah, it has to be one of those. I still think Sean Payton can put together a couple wins. I think New England's going to stink, right? I mean, and that division's good.
I was going to say, New England's in a very loaded division.
I mean, that's 2 losses to Buffalo. It's probably, 2 losses to Miami. I mean, right off the bat. So, yeah, I just saw that yesterday. Kermit being passed around the Raiders defense. He haven't made the playoffs,
Be careful what you wish for.
I mean, what are we doing here? All right, we'll take a break on the other end. Colts observations, we'll get to that. Lynn Dunn at 9:30. We keep it going. One more hour. Wake up call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Really fun combo with A.D. Mitchell earlier. That'll be up on the podcast. It's always fun when Lynn Dunn joins us. That'll be at 9:30. We'll get into some Colts day one camp takeaways here in just a second. But, here in probably about 10 or 15 minutes, we'll play a little montage that Mark Dykton helped put together via the Olympic opening ceremony coming up tonight. I guess it's probably happening right now, but it'll air here in the States on tape coming up tonight. But when we had Bob Costas on last week, he shared a really great story about his favorite Olympic moment, and we'll play that for you here coming up in a little bit. But Andy Sweeney, let's go back to yesterday. Again, just an hour-long practice for the Colts. In a very intentional way. Shane Steichen said, let's focus on the red zone on day one. Didn't want guys running kind of full length of the field, and you get some, hamstring injuries that can, be nagging throughout camp. So just a red zone focus, but I thought the accurate word that was used was crisp to describe Anthony Richardson, and pretty accurate, especially in that first red zone period.
Yeah, I think with Anthony, any time that he leaves and he feels good and he looks good and everything else, I always laugh when they do running plays with him in practice. And you charted, how many did they do in a row? Like 8 or 9?
It was like 9 or 10 at one point.
It was something ridiculous like that. I always wonder, what exactly do you get from that when he can't be hit? But they get a lot from it. I thought Anthony looked pretty good. I know we've talked a lot about it today. We may get to it even in the morning check down here in about 20 minutes. Basically Shane Steichen knew the conversation was going to be around Anthony Richardson running the football and everything else. And, by all sounds of it, they're going to run their offense. And if that's running Jonathan Taylor or Anthony Richardson, I think running the damn ball for the Colts this year is going to be a moniker we use. So I thought that was out there. I know you talked about it in your notes. Again, 1075thefan.com. Leatu Latu just blowing up Jake Witt, a backup lineman there. So you love to see him look good. You saw Pierce and A.D. Mitchell split time there with the ones. Pierce got the first shot at it. They eventually worked Mitchell in. I thought even watching him, I thought Josh Downs looked good. I thought he looked quick. He's always such a fast player. We saw Kwity Paye lose 10 to 12 pounds playing in the 260s instead of up in the 270s. So, listen, it's one day, it's 1 hour. They get a day off today, but, I thought for the most part, it was all good yesterday. I thought if you're a Colts fan, you left yesterday, you left healthy, feeling good about Anthony Richardson, feeling good about Jonathan Taylor, feeling good about the defensive line. I still think corner. I know you have more thoughts on that. I didn't watch them I was watching the offense more than the defense. It's much sexier to watch the offense during these things. But so far, so good. And then, Saturday and Sunday, get your tickets, be out there. I hope to be out there on Saturday, and the Colts are in full swing, man. It's go time. It's football time.
Yeah, a couple other items that I would note on that end. Again, Richardson's day, he started off, he looked a little eager to me in the individual drills, airmailed several throws in that, so I was kind of curious how he would then look in the 11-on-11, and was very good. 4 for 4 in the first session. At the end of the day, 4 for 5. Missed A.D. Mitchell was the only throw that he did not complete, but he took every starting rep, which, I guess we should note, considering last time we saw him, he did not. And on the Leatu play, part of me was a little disappointed when I saw the defensive line rotation play out early on, and Leatu was with the third team initially. He did get some second-team reps, and there was a play there, as Andy said, against Jake Witt, who, just to give everybody the Jake Witt bio, because
poor Jake Witt,
outside of Mr. and Mrs. Witt, I can't imagine too many people have it. 7th-round pick out of Northern Michigan 2 years ago, injured his hip last offseason, missed the entire year, so he has not practiced many times in the NFL, and Leatu made sure that he looked that way on a rep. Again, this was a red zone drill. So when you think about the red zone, you don't have a lot of time to get to the quarterback. The ball's usually coming out pretty quick. And one thing I do appreciate about Joe Flacco, that ball comes out fairly quick, and that ball's humming. He takes chances. You get backup quarterbacks a little gun-shy, a little hesitant. That is not Joe Flacco at all. And Leatu gets in Flacco's face so quickly that next thing you know, Flacco's got to alter his footwork, and he's down on the ground for a sack. Like, one of those sacks where the quarterback just kind of falls to the ground based off of the pocket being, really put right into his lap. So I watched that play and thought to myself, damn, that is potentially varsity versus JV or freshman. Like we got to see Latu in full pads, and we got to see him against Bernard Ryman.
There's
like,
no doubt about it. I know. We got to. Come on, Steichen.
It's just we got to get there. And again, full pads, NFL rules mandate. You got to go a few practices without them before those can be put on. So that should be upcoming next week. So yeah, those are some of the things that stood out. I guess I'll mention tight end because it's a popular position. A lot of people talk about tons of rotation on day one. Kylan Granson actually was the first tight end out there. And then just to show you how much, back and forth movement is with that group. The second play was Drew Ogletree and Kylan Granson in a 2 tight end set. And then the third play was Drew Ogletree and Mo Alley Cox in a 2 tight end set. So, a guy like Jelani Woods, a lot of people are, intrigued by, curious by. He was not one of the first 3 tight ends. And the one thing to note from Woods yesterday is he had a big drop from Joe Flacco in an 11-on-11 period in the end zone there. So tons and tons of rotation at tight end, which is certainly the expectation.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Jelani Woods, obviously he's going to be on the team unless something just insane happens here. He is a young guy with upside who, you waited around all last year basically to see it. And you look at Will Mallory, given that he is also a young player, and then I look at the other 3. You look at Mo Alley Cox, you look at Granson, and you look at Ogletree. I'll go to Ogletree. He had the issues last year, the off-the-field issues, the domestic violence issues. And, Chris Ballard, this press conference would have been a couple press conferences ago. They let the legal process play out. And when it played out, I think the word satisfied is probably the right word. They're satisfied with what they know about that situation with Ogletree. The reason I bring it up is I think it's kind of crazy that they would take 5 tight ends into week 1, but I think they're taking 5 tight ends into week 1. What's the trickle down? If they took 4, where would that open up a spot on the roster? I think that's the question I have. I don't know if you have a thought on that, but yeah. I think they take 5. Ballard talks about these guys like he likes all 5 tight ends.
Well, and again, this gets in the numbers game, and inevitably you're going to have injuries. We're 1 practice in, and there's 11 to go. You're
sure.
going to have
no
injuries that will impact, the back end of the roster. But, linebacker is a position where I probably cut a number short back when I did my 53-man roster. You could add one there. What about safety? Do you have quality numbers there? I think wideout is pretty set with 6, and that's assuming Ashton Dulin comes back from his ACL. But you've got the 4 that are obvious: Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell. You would think the 5th would be the 5th-round pick, Anthony Gould, and then Ashton Dulin, would be that 6th. Running back, do you only keep 3 there and maybe 1 on your practice squad? Chris Ballard's always kept a big number on the offensive and defensive lines. There is a quarterback rule change this year where now your 3rd quarterback does not need to be on your 53-man roster.
Which is a good rule.
He can be on the practice squad, so great news from Sam Ehlinger.
Yep.
And also, that opens up a roster spot. So, again, those are all just some things to note. I guess we should mention this because we kind of led off the show with it. And it's funny, I was talking with some people out there yesterday, and I was like, yeah, we'll be back out here Tuesday. And they kind of look at me cross-eyed like, you're not coming back out tomorrow? I'm like, no, the Colts aren't practicing tomorrow. NFL teams, for the most part, have scaled back what their training camp schedule looks like. Sports science in 2024 indicates rest, rest, rest. I would say the Colts are on the far end of that rest spectrum. They are all in on it. Remember how many Wednesday walkthroughs Shane Steichen had last year in season. He wants practices that are fast and filled with tempo. The Colts are one of the higher no-huddle teams and one of the more successful no-huddle teams last season. So you're going to see a camp schedule that, again, is very spread out, and practice times are not going to be uber long. They will go, I think, for 90 minutes maybe on Sunday. But for the most part, you will not see you won't see, I should say, any 3 straight days of practice, and you'll only see 4 back-to-back days of practice up there at Grand Park. So a lot of this is trying to mitigate some of the injury situations, especially early on, that can arise in camp, i.e. why they focused just on the red zone yesterday. So I know there are some people out there that probably agree with that, and then there are other people that look at it and think, you got to spar. You got to spar a lot. And when you've lost every week 1 game or haven't won a week 1 game since 2013, Is this the best way to prepare you for the start of the season?
What do you think fans think? The only reason I say that is I think still most football fans are get out there. The more you practice, the more you sweat. The longer you're out there, the more your hand in the dirt means the better you're going to play football. And I think
most
there's
fans,
a movement that's not the case.
I think most fans are in that camp. A lot of it probably depends on the position that you play. You know, some of the quicker, twitchier guys that can get the nagging hamstring or something like that, they probably are a little bit more of no, let's scale it back. And maybe some of the offensive linemen and defensive linemen are saying, hey, we don't get enough full padded days. You know, we do need to spar a little bit more. I remember having Joe Wrights on the show, former offensive lineman, and he was always a big believer in that of, yes, you've got to combat. You got to get the real thing in before, Will Anderson and et cetera, coming at you week one there. So, again, I think most of the NFL, Andy, is on this side of we are going to dial it back, but the Colts, they were the last team to report to training camp, or in that wave of teams that were the last team. Again, 12 camp practices is not a lot. They are by far on that end of the spectrum of sports science, big time.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know the answer to this. If they had more turnover, would it be different?
That's a good point.
In other words, it's so team run it back. Like,
right.
The Pacers are going to run into that, are they not? That, the Pacers are going to show up at training camp, and it's not like you're integrating 2 or 3 new guys, right? It's not like, a team that brings in 2, 3 guys. It takes so long. It takes, a month and a half into even the regular season to get your feet under you. Like, we are going to expect the Pacers to hit the ground running when the only new person that I even could think of that they're going to add to the rotation could be Jarris Walker, right? And I don't even think you look at the top 8 guys, at least he's not a part of the top 8 guys, maybe even the top 9 guys. So I don't know if I feel that, I want to feel that way, but offensively, that's still not the case because Anthony missed so much time last year. I mean, he had the 2 snaps with he and Jonathan Taylor. So while it is team run it back, because of Richardson's injury, and of course, A.D. Mitchell is a big part of that. If he takes, 30, 40, 50% of those first-team reps away from Pierce, I don't know. I mean, to me, it feels like the majority of this team, you maybe don't need to have early on the big-time practices.
Yeah, the 22 starters, the same coordinators, all of that checks out. Now, Anthony Richardson hasn't been exposed to a lot of the first team work.
And that's the problem, right?
You went 10 days at Grand Park last year before Richardson was named starter. He split, obviously, a lot of those reps with Mitchell. And go back to the spring, Andy. They ended spring earlier than most teams as well. So, again, a lot of this just is rooted in how Shane Steichen clearly wants to operate.
Quickly, one thing, and you won't care about this, but we were talking about this with some of the media guys that were milling about yesterday. I got to give Steichen credit on something, okay, KB? Steichen can go full pants and the pullover sweatshirt out there when he's coaching football in the heat and it's 85 degrees.
Did you see the beanie on Reggie Wayne? Reggie Wayne went beanie.
These guys.
David Thornton's always full pants and seemingly a sweat. I'm like, are they cutting weight for a wrestling match later today?
Steichen, what I said was, I told the guys there, I go,
Steichen's a string bean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Steichen's a skinny guy. Skinny guys can wear sweatshirts in 85-degree heat and coach football, and it's okay.
He might have been cold.
I would have passed out and died on the field if that were the case.
Yeah, it does amaze me, some of the wardrobe these coaches rock. But
come on,
whatever.
man.
Maybe that's they consider that
God bless
an
them.
element of their workout.
You want to play this Costas thing?
Yeah,
that
Mark did a great job splicing this together. Again, today the opening ceremony in Paris for the 2024 Summer Olympics. When we had Bob Costas on last week, I asked Bob the question, what is your favorite Olympic moment? And I'm an idiot. I thought he'd say something Usain Bolt related, something Michael Phelps related. Kerry Strug in the 96 Olympics, Michael Johnson in the gold shoes,
Sure.
Dream Team, whatever comes to mind from a guy that hosted from 1988 to 2016. But he went down another route, and I thought the story was a great one. It got me thinking back to this moment and certainly dialing up YouTube. Mark made sure to put this in there, exactly what that moment sounded like. But again, Bob Costas with us on his favorite moment from hosting the Olympics for nearly 2 decades. Favorite Olympic moment for host?
The Olympic moment is easy. There were so many great ones, but the one that is at the top of the list for me is Muhammad Ali lighting the torch, actually the cauldron. He was the last torch bearer and lights the cauldron at the opening ceremony in Atlanta in 1996. And I apologize to those who may have heard me tell this story before, but since you asked, no one knew, virtually no one knew it was going to be Muhammad Ali. Usually, we are told, whoever I was hosting the opening ceremony with, sometimes it was Katie Couric, Dick Enberg, Matt Lauer. Usually, we were told who the final torchbearers would be. In fact, who each of the torchbearers were, at least as they entered the stadium in the final stages, so that we could think about it and have a note on each of them. And in this case, Dick Ebersol, who ran NBC Sports and Olympics, told me and Dick Enberg, you'll recognize him or her immediately, but I want your reaction to be as spontaneous as those in the stadium and those watching on television. And I began running the possibilities through my head. We're in Atlanta. Hank Aaron, well, he had no Olympic connection, and baseball is not primarily an Olympic sport. Evander Holyfield was the heavyweight champion of the world. Maybe, maybe not. And I briefly thought of Muhammad Ali, but then I dismissed the thought because I didn't think he was physically capable. And they rehearsed it, as I later found out, one time at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe a dozen people knew about it. And during the rehearsal, and I didn't know this until Janet Evans, the second to last Olympic torchbearer on that opening ceremony, great American Olympic swimmer, Janet Evans told me this just a year or two ago. During the rehearsal, Muhammad dropped the torch because even then, 20 years before his death, he was trembling from the effects of his Parkinson's syndrome. And they were very much on edge as to how this would be pulled off. But they'd kept it a secret, and he literally stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight, and there stood Muhammad Ali. And you hear a lot of sounds in a stadium or arena at a sports event, but seldom is one of those sounds a collective gasp. But you could hear it, and there were a couple of seconds of stunned silence before that gave way to sustained, thunderous applause. And here stood this man, once the most beautiful and talkative of athletes, entertaining, nimble, in an entirely different condition. And obviously he was a vain person, entertainingly so. I'm too pretty to be a boxer, et cetera, et cetera. He was willing to present himself to the world in that altered and diminished state. There was a kind of nobility in that. It was uplifting and poignant at the same time. And that, I think, is the one event or moment that stands out for me the most.
Look who gets it next. The greatest. Oh, my! And the response he evokes is part affection, part excitement, but especially respect. What a moment. Muhammad Ali, of course, an Olympian, as young Cassius Clay, gold medal boxer, 1960, the Games of Rome. To become arguably the most famous person on this earth.
Pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Pretty darn cool.
I watched that last night, knowing that, today was the opening festivities and everything. It's a pretty powerful moment, is it not? It's a lot of pressure.
When he shared that with us last week, I remember I dialed it up during the break, and I got chills watching the Ali footage from that. And, again, I'm a sucker for the media angle to it as well. I thought that side of it with Dick Ebersol and Costas and, wanting him to be, pretty raw emotionally in that moment also was really, really cool. Certainly there's not many people, I think, in sports media that could do that, but Costas is certainly that. And, the story of, Ali dropping it the night before and then, the 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and you watch it. And Andy, for those that are, can't exactly picture it, this is not, he was holding that torch for a while.
Yes, he was.
And,
he was.
He lights it. It's like, a lot could have gone wrong there. And it was pretty amazing, pretty chilling, frankly, to see it.
I two things. I think of, if you are a producer for the Olympics there, what hoops you're going through to make that live TV moment work And then at some point, I'm sure coaches feel this way, that there's nothing you can do, right? Like you've rehearsed it. The people around Ali have prepared him, with the issues that he had to go out there and to do that. And it worked out, and it ended up being one of those, magical live television moments. And I just think of everything that goes into that, all the things that could have obviously gone wrong there. I'll say this, being in the presence of Ali a few times around a few events, when he publicly, KB, and obviously behind the scenes, he was struggling a lot, but publicly, the few times I had been around him, there's something still that was in his brain that knew, hey, the spotlight is on me. Ali had that to the very end, that, hey, the spotlight is on me, and I'm going to give the people something, right? I'm going to give them a glimmer in my eye, or what he did in Atlanta with, lighting the torch there. He always had that. He had that to the very end, that he knew when the spotlight was on him, and that was obviously a magical moment, and Bob Costas was a part of it. It's great stuff. It really is.
Yeah, Costas shared that with us, just about how much energy felt like Muhammad got from that moment. Pretty cool. So, again, opening ceremony today in Paris. You'll probably see it tape delayed tonight here on NBC. And Andrew Nemhard and Team Canada will get underway with Giannis and company. That's tomorrow. Tyrese Halliburton with Team USA on Sunday. And we'll see where Halliburton's at in the rotation. That obviously... a popular question after his minutes decreased majorly as they moved through the exhibition stage. Kevin Durant did scrimmage yesterday with Team USA.
That's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Where his availability is at. Well, it's a huge deal for the team. Obviously, he's such a gifted FIBA. First off, he's such a gifted player, period. But especially in the FIBA games. And inevitably, when Durant gets on the floor, that just continues to shrink minutes. So, in whatever Steve Kerr's mind, he could have Halliburton back above Derek White, and we might not really feel it or see it just because Durant's going to eat some minutes that will have a trickle-down effect at other spots as well. Speaking of Olympians, she's been a member of the USA coaching staff in the Olympics. Lynn Dunn going to join us here coming up in about 5 minutes. Let's hit a morning check down before that.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
All right, for the final time, we'll get you a little Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson sound. Let's go to something we talked about in the 7:35 segment, and that is running the football and doing so with the second-year quarterback, Anthony Richardson. Shane Steichen was asked about that yesterday. He compared AR to Steph Curry. That was kind of the big newsworthy sounds. Shane Steichen gave us something yesterday, and we do appreciate that. So running the ball, here's your head coach yesterday.
Well, I think it's exciting because the playbook is open to everything. You got a quarterback that can do everything. He can throw it from the pocket. He can get out of the pocket. He can run the football. And then you got Jonathan Taylor, who's one of the best backs in the league. And to have both those guys in the backfield is going to be critical for our success. People ask this too a lot. It's just like, hey, how are you going to limit the run game? And I kind of think like, shoot, are you going to limit Steph Curry from shooting three-pointers? Well, that's one of Anthony's strengths, right? So we're not going to get away from that. That's what he does well. So.
Yeah, so that was one of the big quotes from yesterday. Now, as for Anthony Richardson, second-year quarterback, he was asked about that, about running his legs. He referred to him as one of his superpowers. Here's Richardson yesterday.
My legs always been one of my superpowers, so trying to take that away from me, I don't think that's a good thing for this offense. It's just more so me, playing a little bit more smarter and learning how to take care of myself for my teammates, and knowing when to make the right play and knowing when to try to get an extra few yards. So, don't take my legs away, but just be more smart.
We expanded on a lot of this in the 7:30 segment. That'll be up on the podcast. You can check that out in the best of. But I'd actually disagree with Richardson right there. I think he is a smart runner. I thought at times last season, especially after the concussion, he slid, he got down, he got out of bounds. I think if you look at the 4 plays he got injured on, I wouldn't call him reckless at all. Maybe, again, he should have ran through the tape in Houston, not to suffer.
That would be the only one.
The concussion, but outside of that, I thought there was not Josh Allen recklessness. You brought up Will Levis earlier. Yeah, none of that I thought with Richardson. So Welcome to the debate that we'll have many times here coming up throughout Richardson's second NFL season. Again, off day for the Colts today, tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon. That is the weekend schedule out there at Grand Park. The schedule for Dylan Cease yesterday was 9 innings long, 27 outs, and 0 hits allowed. A no-no for the Padres pitcher, 114. That was the pitch count for him. And boy, he has been unbelievable here as of late, and that is, of course, the cherry on top as the Padres blink the Nationals 3-0. Kind of a quiet day around Major League Baseball.
He got as many outs as the White Sox have wins on the season.
That is a great.
That's a great.
That is
stat.
a great and
you should have tweeted that
sad
out.
stat.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Again, Reds in action tonight, taking on Tampa Bay. Cubs in Kansas City. Cardinals hosting the Nationals. You did have the Indianapolis Indians in action, 7-2 over the Iowa Cubbies yesterday. 3 straight now for the Indians. Those two back at it tonight at 8 o'clock. And you mentioned Olympic ceremonies today, 1:30 Eastern time. Just an update to a story we mentioned a couple days ago. The Canadian women's soccer coach has been fired for deploying drones against the competition. She went full Bill Belichick over in Paris. So she's out, sent home. Congratulations to everybody there with women's soccer.
Lions kicker Michael Badgley completely tore his hamstring.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was.
Oh.
Going back to that Costas comment, a couple listeners have reached out here. Brian says this: Muhammad Ali came to a Pacers game the year they went to the finals. It was probably one of the most electric times I've been to a Pacer game to hear the crowd go crazy
imagine.
and chant his name. Kirk describing that moment at Atlanta again, stunning. And Kirk adds this, he kind of felt bad for him at the time because he hadn't been in public much at all. And again, you watch the video. I mean, it is a long video. I mean, you're worried he'd get burned, really, frankly, in that moment there. So, again, opening ceremony today for the Paris games. It'll be down what's the river?
Oh, don't ask me to know. Yeah, I know. It's the famous river. I have
River
no
Thames, is that what it is?
I have no idea.
Sign?
I don't know. I don't know my geography or my rivers.
Oh, can we pronounce the river's name right without sounding, full American? Are you looking it up?
River Seine, yes. Seine. I don't know.
Is that what it is?
Seine.
It's supposed to be several hours they're going to be on this boat. Like, it's not a small little boat
pulled
ride.
off beautiful, but boy, it seems like a lot of logistics. This is much different than, whatever, having them in a big old stadium.
Yeah, just putting them in a stadium and doing everything there. So, again, that'll be this afternoon, and I'm sure everyone nationally will be watching that tonight. All right, let's take a break. On the other end, Lynn Dunn, Fever GM, couple weeks off for the WNBA. What does she have popping? We'll talk about that next. Wake Up Call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, we will conclude today's show coming up in a bit with the pop quiz. Again, 4-pack of tickets out to the motocross event at the State Fair, which begins here coming up in, a week from today, I want to say it is. I think that's right. But our next guest, we love having her on. Usually it's Wednesdays, but today it'll be Friday here in the 9 o'clock hour, the one and only, and a former Olympic coach, Lynn Dunn, joins us now, one of our players in the Olympics, Christy Wallace for Team Australia. Lynn, if you don't mind, let's start there. 92 Olympics, right? So Barcelona Games, what's the biggest memory Lynn Dunn has from that experience?
Wow, you guys have done some research. I am so impressed. I did not know you knew that background, that piece of information.
Lynn, we know the Tennessee Martin mascot. We know everything now after our conversations with you.
You know how to sing Rocky Top, too, don't you?
We do,
well,
certainly.
Lynn, KB went to, what was it, the Georgia-Tennessee game last year.
I sang it loud and proud, Coach.
Okay, well, 92 Olympics, of course, Barcelona, and it's the dream team, so we travel with the dream team. I've sat across the aisle from Michael Jordan and his first wife, and I watched Barkley and Pippen and Magic and Larry all up front sitting at a table playing poker for the stakes. You would not believe the amount of money that changed hands as we flew across the ocean. That was a real experience for me to watch them play competitive poker on the flight over. But that was a great experience for me. Barcelona was beautiful. There's nothing like an opening ceremony. I'm excited about tonight, the opening ceremony in Paris. Why aren't you guys in Paris?
Oh, boy, well a budget standpoint, we're just
Colts
happy.
camp.
Happy to walk over to Gainbridge Fieldhouse and catch up with you guys, honestly. Now, did you slide in for a game? Did Larry call you in for a little Texas Hold'em action?
I tell you what, I couldn't even begin to get in. I don't even know. I couldn't believe, what, Jack's open trips to win. Once you get out, you can't get back in kind of games for way too much money. But let me tell you something. There's nothing like the Olympic experience. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like tonight with an opening ceremony, with the Eiffel Tower, Paris. I know they're going to roll out the red carpet. I'm thrilled that Christy Wallace is there. It's too bad some of our own players, Boston and Clark, couldn't make that team, but they'll make the next team.
Fever GM Lynn Dunn with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline on this Friday. You mentioned the entire Olympic experience. At any point, were you emotional? I mean, I would imagine it's an emotional experience to some extent as well.
It's hard to describe. I can't even think of a way. If you've never experienced it, that you can understand it. You're representing your country. The best teams from all over the world are there. It's just a magnificent experience. And then not only are you competing at a high level, but you get to go around and watch some of the other. I went and watched badminton. I watched ping pong. I watched track. I watched some of the swimming. So it was an amazing experience to be around the best athletes in the world. It's unbelievable.
Coach, I wanted to ask you this as well. I mean, we know on the men's side that the world has caught up with Team USA. We used to win these games on the men's side by 40 and 50 points, and that's not the case anymore. The spreads are obviously much less, and we've seen even in past Olympics here recently us lose a game. Even, we had some close games here getting ready for Paris. On the women's side, how much has the world caught up with Team USA? Obviously, our women are huge favorites to win the gold. It's what we expect. But the rest of the world, have they done a good job at least catching up a little bit over the last couple decades?
I think they have caught up some, not near like the men. I think the last time I read 60 or 65 foreign players are now playing in the NBA, and we probably have 10 to 15 foreign women players playing in the WNBA. So it's caught up some, but not to the degree that it has with the men's game. Now, our players are still exceptional when it comes to international play, but we have very little time to practice together. And I think that's going to be a challenge for the guys. You've got all those superstars,
sure,
and you've only got one ball. You know, I guess I'm a little frustrated that Halliburton's not getting some more minutes.
Yeah,
you're
honestly,
not the only one.
I'll be curious to see if Steve Kerr goes back to that, because it's not like Tyrese did poorly when he had those minutes. He had some big shots and made some big plays for them early in their exhibition slate. She's Lynn Dunn. She needs no introduction. She's with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Let's go back to Saturday night, Lynn. It was an awesome atmosphere watching it on TV for the All-Star team taking on Team USA, and certainly the All-Star team sent quite the message to the USA squad with that commanding second-half performance there. That surprised you at all to see what the All-Star team did to the USA squad?
It doesn't surprise me because it sends you the message that our second team is almost maybe as good as our first team. That's the talent that we have in the WNBA. And, of course, that second team, they're the group that didn't make the Olympic team. There's a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove. And then when you've got Caitlin Clark out there running the show, what do you expect?
She was distributing like no other.
Lynn, I love the fact that the All-Star team beat Team USA. I loved it. And it wasn't a fluke either. I thought they outplayed them, Coach, for 2.5 quarters at least.
And they did it in 2021, too.
I think there's no doubt that they were relentless in their desire to show the first team what they could do and to show the coaches, the selection committee that left them off the team, just what they could do. And then I think the second group was highly motivated, and you could just see the difference. Whereas the first group, they already knew they were headed to Paris. They kind of went through the motions. But I'd tell you, that last quarter, man, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Lynn Dunn with us here on this Friday as we put a bow tie on. A great week here on The Fan. Coach, what do you want from Caitlin Clark here in these 3-4 weeks away from basketball?
Well, we've got a break now. Our whole team gets some rest, except for Christy, who's over competing with the Australian team. It gives them a chance to get their legs fresh again, gives us a chance to practice some, continue to get to know each other. Come back on August the 16th when we have our first home game. And by the way, we've got 9 home games left, which is amazing. And so, we got to get the fans back on track, get Gamebridge sold out again, and just come back fresh and better.
When will you guys get back together? You mentioned the 16th. Are you? I don't know what the rules are. Are you guys allowed to have any practices here between now and then?
Oh, yeah. We've been off all this week, and the ones that weren't participating in All-Star game, of course, were off all through that weekend. So we'll get back together some next week. We'll practice, 2 or 3 days in a row, take a day off, 2 or 3 days in a row, take a day off, have some scrimmages, do some team building exercises, maybe some rope courses, and try to mix in some fun as we get back on track to open the last part of the season on the 16th, August 16th.
Well, I love it. It's always fun when you hop on with us, and honestly, I would have loved Michael Jordan should be honored that he sat next to you on that flight in 92, basically.
Well, it was a memory of a lifetime. I was telling somebody I've got an old USA T-shirt that Larry, Michael, and Magic signed, and I probably need to find that somewhere. It might be worth something.
You do need to find that.
Yeah.
Jeez, you need to go through the closet today, Coach, and find that
it's
for you.
somewhere up there in the attic. I'm going to have to look for that thing. Now that we're talking Olympics, I'm thinking about memorabilia. Yeah.
Lynn, have a great weekend. Enjoy the opening ceremony. Congrats to Christy Wallace again, and we look forward to more conversations here.
Hey, thanks, guys. Go Fever, go Colts.
That's Lynn Dunn right there on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Nobody like her.
I think if there's, besides like purely watching guys play their sport, if you ask me, hey, what would you want to see? I think being in an airplane with MJ, Magic, Bird, and whoever else she said, Barkley, of course, playing high-stakes poker on a trip to Barcelona. KB, that is right at the top of the list. It really is. Can you imagine?
That is a great, great story.
Can you
I did not
imagine?
know that. Thank you to Ryan Stevens from The Fever for getting Lynn with us there. That was awesome. Really enjoyed hearing that.
Can you imagine, though?
From Lynn Dunn. We will round things out today with the pop quiz and mark a reminder on that 4-pack of tickets that we are giving away.
It was for the 406 FMX stunt show. So it's motocross. It's like Nitro Circus. It's a bunch of bikes doing flips and jumps over giant
That's
dirt
awesome.
hills. Yeah.
So it's a freebie Friday.
Bunch of stuff
so
I could never do.
You get some
when
tickets.
when our buddy Walker won those yesterday, he was pumped. His brother was very pumped. So they are excited about that.
4-pack of tickets, by the way.
Yeah, we'll do that here coming up on the other side.
All right, the number 317-239-1070. Load them up. It's a pop quiz freebie Friday next on The Fan.
Handle the pressure. Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with KB and Andy. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Well, in the history of the Pop Quiz, we've never had back-to-back 5-for-5 efforts. Shout out to Walker. He went 5-for-5 yesterday, confident in his answers. Andy Sweeney is substitute teacher as well.
Final day.
I don't feel too good about it.
No, there's a couple questions on here we kind of made a little bit difficult.
I mean, nothing
but,
says
nothing
says you're
it's
the
our
mean
fault.
substitute teacher, like asking baseball questions. I mean, come on, Scotty's out and you still went baseball.
Well,
on him?
nothing's better than Andy was wanting clarification at the break of one of your questions, and you didn't even know the answer to it.
Oh, totally
I think
butchered
it's
it
this
up.
one. Oh, wait, actually, no, it's this one.
Totally butchered it.
Well, it's a freebie Friday, so it's, it doesn't really matter what the questions are. You're going to get the motocross tickets at the fair. You're going to get the oil change. So, it doesn't matter.
All right, give us a number 1 through 8 here to close out
All
the
right,
week.
so I'm going to go with caller number 2 because coming up tomorrow will be Colts practice number 2. So, Mark, who do we have? Caller 2.
That would be Jake.
Jake, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you guys? Happy Friday.
You as well.
Jake, happy Friday. Are you happy to share a name with one Jake Query?
Yeah, it's a great name. Yeah, my actual name is Jake on my birth certificate, so pretty rare, I feel like.
Is it Jason Lloyd? Is that correct for Jake Query, Mark? Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Jason Lloyd. I know he's not a big fan of anyone saying that, so I apologize, Jake, for that.
I was going to ask if Jake was a Jake or a Jacob. That's what I was going to ask about Query. Now I'm learning he's not either one of them. Okay.
Jake, who's the greatest Jake athlete of all time?
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, yeah. I second that
I knew
one.
Dykton would love that.
There's not a whole lot of them, I feel like.
Jake Plummer?
I went with a couple of P's. I went with Plummer and Peavy.
Jake Arrieta.
Arrieta?
Yeah, Arrieta, I'd say. I'm a Cubs fan. So.
Oh, yeah. I like this Jake a lot.
Plummer, of course, a huge reason why Peyton Manning was here. Plummer led a big 2-minute drill in the final game the year prior to Peyton getting drafted that pushed the Cardinals down a slot.
It's always amazing how that happens. Every single season, someone is helped or hurt by something they do in the final week of the year in a game that means nothing.
Just love
Great
it.
for them.
Totally. Without it, I don't have this
I know.
job. Thank you to
Great
Jake
point.
Plummer. Well, Jake, congrats, man. It's Freebie Friday. You sound smart. We'll see how smart you are. Andy Sweeney, go ahead.
All right, question number 1, a little Big Ten to start things on this Friday, Jake. The Big Ten title has been held, of course, at Lucas Oil Stadium with the East versus West since 2014. How many teams from the West won the Big Ten? So how many West winners did we get? 3, 2, 1, or 0? Again, when it was East versus West.
2.
Jake, you sure?
No. 3.
Jake, you sure?
1.
You sure, Jake?
0.
There we go.
Fourth time's the charm.
And my baseball question on Dylan Cease was going to be a big problem.
Jake start reminiscent of me and some dates I had back in the day. Jake, number 2 here. How many non-Ohio State, Michigan Big Ten winners have we got in the 10 years of the East versus West format? So, obviously, Ohio State, Michigan quite frequently. How many non-Buckeye or Wolverine winners?
2.
Oh, there you go. I like that. You got that one. All right, question number 3. That doesn't matter. It's okay. IndyCar, question number 3.
Don't need to admit that to us.
IndyCar is on their Olympic break, thanks to, of course, all the NBC coverage of the Olympics. Name any of the 4 states that IndyCar will race in to end their season. There's 4 of them.
Michigan.
4 out of 50. I mean, that. What do you think? Should we trim that down?
I don't know. I don't even know how to give him a hint.
Jake, it ain't Michigan. I'll give you one more guess at it.
We talking West or East?
Well, okay. One is an SEC. One is an SEC.
I mean, now you're just gonna gift it to
one
him.
is an SEC state. The other three are Big Ten states.
That really narrows it down with
really
how
narrows it
conference
down.
realignment has occurred.
One is a new Big Ten state.
Oh boy,
Ohio.
that's a big hit. Ohio, you said?
Oh.
Yeah.
Jake, Dylan Cease became the first pitcher in Padres history to record a no-no with his dazzling performance yesterday.
No, he is the second. I missed.
Oh.
I put a wrong thing in there. So yeah, not good. He was the first since 2021. Anyway,
Got it. Okay, he's the second pitcher
Second.
In Padres history to record a no-no. Nothing says substitute teacher like this effort.
Yeah.
This is half-assed effort right here.
Jake, do you know the first pitcher in Padres history to throw a no-hitter? Was it Lance McCullers? I need a beer. Is it Joe Musgrove or Grave? Andy, do you know Musgrove or is it Musgrave?
I thought it was Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, let's go Musgrove.
It is Musgrove?
Yeah.
You Darvish or Trevor Hoffman? Wasn't Hoffman a closer?
He was. He was also a Padres pitcher.
McCullers, Musgrove, Darvish, or Hoffman?
I'm going to say Darvish.
I mean, there's no chance after we butchered that he was going to get it right.
I apologize.
At least it's Freebie Friday.
Freebie Friday. Last one. Team USA men's basketball in action this weekend. They begin their journey for the gold medal. In the last Olympics, 2020, how many games did they lose in tournament play? Not the exhibition. Team USA, how many games did they lose in tournament play? Was it 1, 2, 3, or they went undefeated? We actually mentioned this in the 8 o'clock hour if you were listening.
I tuned in around 9. I'm going to say they lost one game.
There we go.
Smart
Good
guess.
end.
I mean, think about it. They can't lose once the knockout stage
Right.
happens. So, yeah, okay. All right. Luke, much smarter than this quiz is going to indicate here. And honestly, the administrators of the quiz equally at fault here. Okay, Andy, Big Ten title at Lucas Oil Stadium, East versus West since 2014.
Yeah, 0, right?
0
Nobody.
West
correct.
winners. Now,
Wild.
Luke got number 2 right. If I put the feet to the fire, I'm not going to do that to Luke. Penn State and Michigan State. Those are your only non-Ohio State Michigan winners. Was it Michigan State, Iowa in a low-scoring game
I think it
one
was.
year? Was
Yeah,
that?
Michigan State had some good teams, man.
Iowa in a low-scoring game? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it was a low-scoring game. Without knowing the final score, I'll say yes, KB. It was a low-scoring game. IndyCar, they're going to be four different states. They're going to be in Oregon, Wisconsin, Tennessee, and Illinois the rest of the way.
You got Portland race, back in the Milwaukee Mile, Nashville for the season finale, and then Gateway, which I know is right on the border there, Illinois and Missouri. He said you Darvish. It was Musgrove there in 2021, and Andy, yours to round it out.
Yeah, Team USA lost we never love when they lose. They lost one game back in 2020. They lost to France, and then they avenged that loss by beating France and winning the gold medal. They were 5-1, but again, they lost, and we all blame Keldon Johnson. So there you go.
They did lose 2 exhibition games
I
that
know.
year as well. So again, Team USA coming up Sunday. That is Serbia. What did I say? 11:15 earlier. 11:15 a.m. I believe is the tip time for that. Again, Andrew Nemhard in Canada tomorrow afternoon against Giannis and Greece. And Colts camp schedule for the weekend: Saturday and Sunday. Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, may see you out there with the family on Saturday.
Yeah,
I know
you
you'll
said
be
you're gonna
working.
bring Mason out there?
I plan unless, mornings can get crazy. If something gets chaotic, it's still a 40-minute drive.
But it's a great morning activity.
Hey, listen, I mean, it's great weather. It's supposed to be pretty good weather all weekend. So good fun shows. We're back at it on Monday, 7 a.m. Query and Company at noon, JMV at 3. Have a good afternoon right here on The Fan.